Welcome to another deadline stream ahead of Game Week 14. Thank you very much to everyone who's decided to tune in today. And we're 2 hours away from the deadline. And let's try to get through as many questions as possible. I'm going to be talking about my team. I've made one transfer, as you can see right here. And I'll be talking about that very soon. I finally did it. But there are other concerns. And that's why sometimes it's very important to kind of wait until the final day, regardless of price changes. Reece James, it looks like he is a heavy doubt to play against Watford. He's going to face a late fitness test to actually play against them. Same with Jorginho. So let's wait and see what happens there. And there's kind of news across the board. Roberto Firmino, it looks like he's going to be out for at least one more week. So that means at least 2 more games with Jota being the nailed-on striker for Liverpool. So right now, he just looks like the best midfielder you can go for other than Mohamed Salah. And of course, Jamie Vardy, it's not realistic for him to play every few days. So he could be rested against Southampton. They do have a very important game against Napoli. So it's kind of news across the board, not only with my team, but also with so many different assets and covering so many different teams. But thank you to everyone who's decided to tune in. Let's get through these and we can talk about anything as well other than FPL, especially if we get through a lot of these. No problem, rock and roll. Thank you for popping by. Wilson or Maximan? I probably would say Wilson, but once again, 1 yellow card away from suspension, and I'm not really a big fan. I think Norwich could actually, do pretty well against Newcastle, and if anything, I would rather have Timo Pukki for that fixture. I get the appeal of Newcastle assets for the next 2, but I think it's maybe a bit too late to get one of them in right now. Reece James injured, will not play. It's not officially confirmed, as in he's not been officially ruled out 100%, but there is a heavy chance he's not going to play. If there's any risk, he's going to be benched anyway, and it could be Azpilicueta playing on that right wing-back spot. Livramento or Smith Rowe first sub? I probably would go for Livramento this week, especially obviously if Leicester do actually bench Vardy, then I think that could actually turn out okay. Thoughts on James Dillon? I think they're not going to risk him, and obviously the thing with Chelsea is they already dropped points, so I was kind of optimistic a few days ago, but if he does have a knock, then I just don't think there's going to be a chance of him playing. Welcome, mate. Welcome, Mo. Thank you for tuning in. What to do with Tierney? Sell. Doesn't matter, mate. He could play against United, but at the moment it's Tavares' place to lose. I would sell Tierney regardless, to be honest. Welcome, Abdelayla. Thank you very much. Or Abdella, don't want to get your name wrong, sorry. Who should I bench first, Josh King or Livramento? I probably would rather have Livramento above Josh King, to be honest, despite how impressive King has been. Bench Gallagher, Tony or Rafinha? I would bench Tony, mate. James. Welcome, Dian. Jamal says, hey Dylan, Sanchez, Trent, James, Cancelo, what do you think? I think it's a good team. Just bear in mind James is a big risk to play this week, but it's fine. I wouldn't sell him. As for Vardy, he could also be benched, and also with Jimenez, I would be looking to sell him from Game Week 15 onwards, but he's definitely a good pick for now. I would probably keep Antonio. I like your midfield a lot. In Game Week 16 onwards, though, you could move Rafinha onto, for example, Jared Bowen or Maxwell Cornet. But right now, I think you could actually save a transfer if you only have one available. Welcome, Superstar. Can we hit 8K today? I was literally going to say that, Jack Knows Football. We are around 49 subscribers away from reaching 8,000. So if you haven't already, smash the like button and subscribe if you're new. And we can get to 8,000 today. Obviously, very much appreciate everyone who has already done so. And everyone who's joined the Discord, sent in super chats, become a channel member as well. All of that is massively appreciated as always. That's why I keep banging on about it every single video. But it really means a lot. And obviously, the main thing really is having a community right here and just talking about FPL and football. And it's very enjoyable, to be fair. Should I sub Cornet in for Tony? I would rather have Cornet this week, so yeah, I probably would. Hey Dylan, what's up? Not much, Kurt. What about you? Thank you for tuning in, mate. What about Foden? I would sell him, to be honest, because he's just a doubt, and yeah, I would sell him. I think if you don't have Jota, sell him. Otherwise, then maybe you could hold, but even then, if he's going to miss another game week, then possibly game week 15. It's just too many game weeks, and I'm happy to have gotten rid of him. Obviously, ideally, if he's fit and everything, I would love to have him and Jota with Salah and have a solid midfield like that, but I'd probably sell. Don't have Trent. Should I bring him in at 8 million? I still would, Vincent. Yeah, I still would. You don't have to be in a rush to get him in, so you don't have to take massive hits to, break the structure of your squad to fit him in, but I would still try to get Trent, to be honest. Would you play Hudson-Odoi or Lamptey? I probably would play Hudson-Odoi, to be honest, but I do like Lamptey as well. Welcome to Galactic Hobbit. Thank you for tuning in. Nigel, that's a good team. Yeah, once again, so kind of just pointing out things with your team. Dennis, it looks like he's going to be missing out game week 14 and possibly 15. He's at 50% according to FPL, and it just doesn't look like he's going to play. Vardy once again, and James, just bear in mind that they could be benched, and James does have a little knock. The rest is good though. I don't think you need to make a transfer once again. And if you only have one free transfer, my advice would be just hold And then going into next week, you can start, addressing things with 2 free transfers, including maybe Jamie Vardy perhaps, and Hwang. Hwang is definitely the one I'd be looking to get rid of after, but not right now. Smith Rowe, I wouldn't play him this week, but I think it's not a bad option. He was a bit unlucky not to come with a return in Game Week 13, but I probably wouldn't be too confident against United, to be honest. I've got 2 free transfers, but can I get Jota or Alonso without weakening the bench? That's kind of a tough one, isn't it? Then maybe... Yeah, it's not even a case of having both of them would weaken your bench. Just getting one of them would weaken your bench. I still would get Jota though, mate. I think that's worth it. And then you can maybe downgrade someone else to then, have good squad depth as well, to be honest. How is it, Dylan? Good. David, what about you? Thank you for tuning in. Sell Foden or bring Alonso instead and hold Foden. Bring Tony or Mbeumo off the bench. Oof. I'd sell Foden, to be honest. I probably would. Will Diaz start? Yeah, I think so, to be honest. It's a tough game against Villa. So many people here in the chat. Thank you very much. If I haven't answered your question, I'll try to get through them. But otherwise, later on in the chat, you can repeat your question, but don't spam the chat. That's the only thing I ask for. Bernardo Silva or Gundogan? Up until now, I would say Bernardo Silva, but keep an eye on Gundogan. I mentioned it a week or two ago, and statistically, he's probably, a bit superior actually to Bernardo Silva. And what I'm going to do myself is actually look at how both of them are doing over the next few game weeks and maybe possibly bring one of them in for Rafinha. And, obviously Gundogan, I think, will probably score more goals over this period, but who will get more assists? Probably Bernardo Silva. A few of Bernardo Silva's goals have been relatively lucky, but he's a quality player in real life. But yeah, right now I say Bernardo Silva, but I am kind of sneaking towards Gundogan. I need to see a bit more though, but I am slowly kind of getting around to the idea. Do you fancy Lukaku for Vardy due to the press conference? I am thinking about it, to be honest. Obviously, I would rather see how he does against Watford. I've already made my transfer. I've got rid of Townsend finally, and I got in Conor Gallagher. So at the moment, I'm not looking to take a hit like that. Also, I don't think I have enough money. I'll double check that in a bit. But yeah, I am looking to do that maybe in a few weeks' time, but not necessarily right now. Hi Dylan, I'm wondering why do you bench Tony? Because I brought in Conor Gallagher. I wanted good squad depth, and either way, if James or Vardy miss out, which could happen to be honest, Tony can come in regardless. But I wouldn't start Tony over anyone right now who is in my starting 11, to be quite frank. Hey bro, Foden out? If so, for who? Already have Gallagher, Jota and Mbeumo. I would consider Gundogan or Bernardo Silva, mate. I probably would do that. If not, the usual suspects, Bowen, Cornet, I keep talking about them. I probably would look at those kind of 4 names. Vardy would be benched. It's a possibility, to be honest. And if he's not benched here, he'll probably be benched in a few days' time. That's how the cookie crumbles, but I think it'll be this game, potentially, yeah. Why will Vardy be benched? Because as Brendan Rodgers said, I mean, Vardy is 34 years old. He can't play every 3-4 days, and they also have a really crucial game against Napoli next week. So I think he's going to be benched at some point, to be honest. James Manor injury, yeah, it's only a knock, but that could be enough to rule him out against Watford, or at least he's not going to start or play at all. But obviously, if he doesn't start, I don't want him coming off the bench, unless he does a Mohamed Salah against Palace or something. Yeah, I don't want that happening. Looking forward to this game week. Let's hope we can all get a good result. Yeah, good luck to you as well, Galactic Hobbit, and I'm looking forward to it as well. Such a quick turnaround, and then we can focus on game week 15. I didn't do the usual preview and transfer tips videos, but those will be coming hopefully for game week 15 at the weekend. Since James is doubtful, play 2 of James, ESR, King, Livramento. I'd still start James just in case, and I would also start probably Livramento actually, and if not, King. Should I get Alonso from -4, says Murad? It depends who you get rid of, mate, but I still think it could be worth it. Just bear in mind, Alonso's not going to play every single game, and Tuchel actually touched upon this in his press conference, but he will play the majority. I still think he's first choice, of course. Will James start? I wish I could answer that concretely. What do I think? I think he might be benched, especially if there is a knock and, the late test doesn't really go in his favour, then yeah, they're not going to risk it. But if the scan is good, they might actually just play him anyway because it's such an important game for Chelsea. Any game in the Premier League now, they just can't afford to drop points. And that's what I was kind of saying the other day, but this knock has put a doubt in my mind. Let's see if that's actually even true, to be honest. Are you making transfers on stream? No, I've already made my transfer. I made it... what was it, 2 days ago now? Maybe yesterday? So I got in Conor Gallagher in for Townsend. So no transfers on stream. But yeah, that's pretty much all I've done. I could have saved my transfer. And the plan would be probably to hold the transfer in Game Week 15. Of course, I might change depending on what happens here. And then have 2 free transfers heading into Game Week 16. Possibly get rid of the likes of Rafinha. I'll be talking about this in my future videos as well, to be honest. So yeah. Thoughts on Tyrone Mings? I'm still not really too keen. I'd rather have Target or Matty Cash. And from the Villa, attack, of course, it's Watkins. But yeah, I'd probably rather have those sorts of players. Is Livramento on the bench enough? Not for this Christmas period, I think, especially if James is, injured, for example, if Vardy gets a rest. It depends on your team, of course, but, look what happened with the Spurs-Burnley game. I think you need squad depth, at least one more player other than Livramento. And also, Livramento isn't looking particularly good at the moment, so it isn't enough, in my opinion. Who to captain this game week? I was tempted by Reece James and Jamie Vardy, but the press conferences have put a severe doubt in my mind, so I'm probably just going to go with Salah regardless. I think if you have Harry Kane or Son, I think they're good captaincy options, and I'd probably rank them above Jamie Vardy and Reece James because they're more likely to start, of course, and I think they could do very well against Brentford, who have been very poor recently, especially defensively, so I probably would go with that. Gallagher or Lamptey? I'd start Gallagher. Gay for Marcel, I think that's probably worth it. I'm not too sure about Palace defence, and I do think they're a bit susceptible, especially from set pieces, so they're always going to concede chances, but it's a good transfer. I would rather go for Lamptey though. Sell Foden for a -4, it depends for who. If it's for Jota, I probably would. Would you captain Kane? I literally just talked about this right now, Matic. You probably put this comment before I said that, but I probably would look to captain him. If I had him, he'd be at least my vice, and I would actually consider putting the captaincy. Thoughts on Gundogan? He's been kind of popping up in the last few weeks, even in the Champions League. He's looking very dangerous, and he's doing it now in the Premier League. What I'm looking to do is just wait a little bit, and over the next week or so, he could be my replacement for Rafinha. So yeah. Hey Dylan, finally a live chat. That is time friendly for us Asians. Had 3 red arrow in a row. Yeah, in terms of the timing, like I always say, it's just trying to accommodate to most people, and most people do like the 7 p.m. UK time. Unfortunately, I can't cater every time in terms of the streams. Obviously, I'm happy now that I'm able to do it earlier, and the same goes for UCL Fantasy. I tend to stream around this time, but in terms of FPL, in terms of deadline streams, yeah, it's kind of a bit difficult to be honest, but I will try to kind of bear that in mind in the future. And yeah, as for red arrows, they're kind of part and parcel of the game to be honest, but I had 3 or 4 literally just recently. I went down to 200k, and just a few good transfers, a few good decisions, even hits have propelled me back up, so I wouldn't be too worried. Should I take a -4 to sell Vardy for Jesus or keep Vardy on the bench? I'd keep Vardy just in case, to be honest. I don't think it's worth a hit for Jesus, in my opinion. Dylan, thoughts on Duffy? He's not going to play the majority of games when everyone's available, so I'd sell if you can. Foden to Gallagher or Silva? Already have Jota. I would still prefer Gallagher long term, but I keep talking about this with Gallagher. There are still a few doubts about him, such as Eze, Milivojevic, etc. And I've talked about this from even before Game Week 13, and it's just something worth highlighting. I still think it's a good option though. Start with Mbeumo, Livramento or Lamptey? It's a tough one. So let's have a look at the fixtures, and I probably would be looking to... It's a tough one. Lamptey is facing West Ham. It's really tough. I probably would look to maybe go with... Mbeumo really? I'm not too sure about Mbeumo, but yeah, maybe Livramento. But then again, it ultimately depends. If Vardy does start, I would not be confident in Livramento at all. So it's kind of just, it depends a lot on that. But from those 3, I'd struggle, to be honest. It's very tough. Had big hopes for Game Week 13, but Kane and Son didn't play. Yeah. Unfortunately, it went like that for some people. I was very lucky in that way, and that was also a big reason why I went up the ranks. So I was just very lucky there. And last year, I was very unlucky because I did have Kane and Son when they had the blank against Fulham actually, so it can go for us and against us sometimes. Hudson-Odoi differential, I've seen him mentioned a lot in recent days, and yeah, of course he's looking like a really good differential. At least in these certain weeks, like against Watford, where it might be a low scoring week this week, that's what I believe, and Hudson-Odoi could be that difference maker, so I agree. I personally, I'm not going to go for him, and the reason why is because there's so many other options in midfield that I think are just, more nailed and that I think offer better value, so that's why I'm not going for him myself. Midfield around 6.4 million, other than Mbeumo and Gallagher, it's easy. Bowen, Cornet, I keep talking about them. Smith Rowe is still a good choice. So one of those 3 for sure. Keep Foden or bring in Jota this week? I'd bring in Jota, mate. I'd bring Jota in. Would you hold your 3 this week? I've already made a transfer. So yeah, I was looking to hold it, but I had a feeling that there could be some injuries or, some rotation. And that's why I wanted to improve my squad depth by improving Townsend to Gallagher. And he's just someone for the long term, so long as he doesn't suddenly become a bad asset because of those reasons I keep talking about. Prediction for Arsenal versus United? I think United will win. If not, the best Arsenal can hope for is a draw. Yeah, the reason why is because Arsenal struggle a lot at Old Trafford, and even last year when Arsenal did win, they only won for a penalty despite being the better team on the day. And Arsenal offensively still, I just don't have any confidence in them offensively. I like Saka, Smith Rowe, they're good young players, Martinelli, but I just don't think they have enough cutting edge up front. You know, Lacazette is a good player. He helps Arsenal overall, but he's not a great goal scorer. Aubameyang right now, especially in the last few weeks, has been absolutely awful. So yeah, for me, I think United will bounce back. Ronaldo will score his 800th goal. Congratulations, Ronaldo, by the way. And yeah, that's what I think. So yeah, if I had to put a score, I'd probably say 2-1 United. But yeah, I'm not too sure. Should I start Hwang or or Joshua, or me or Wood? I probably would start Chris Wood, and I would start Hwang. Anyone know if Zaha's fit to play later? Personally, I'm not too sure, but he did come off quite early, didn't he, in the last game, which is very surprising when Palace needed a goal. Sell Vardy for Jota for a -4. It depends which striker you're bringing in and also which midfielder you're getting rid of, but I think that looks pretty good. Lukaku, a good FPL option? Definitely, and I talked about this in my Game Week 12 preview, I believe, or Game Week 13 preview, and I think Lukaku will be a good option in the coming weeks, but would I be bringing him in right now? No, because I just think there's some mixed fixtures. Also, let's see how he actually recovers from his injury. I think it's a bit too soon to get him in right now, but keep an eye on him for sure. James playing, obviously I wish I knew that, but I'm not too optimistic, of course. If he is fit, then I think Tuchel will just play him because he's so important to how they attack, especially with Chilwell now being injured for so long. So it depends, but that test will be crucial. Right now, as things stand, I'm not too confident. Silva or Gundogan? Silva, once again, I'd probably say up until now, but I have a feeling Gundogan will be the better option over the coming weeks. But up until now, obviously, Bernardo Silva has been the better asset. Will that continue? I think it'll be kind of closer than what most people think, but I think Gundogan will be a good option. Transfer Foden or play Livramento and replace Mbumo? I'd transfer Foden, especially if you don't have Jota already. Who to bench between Gallagher, Rafinha and Hwang, says Aomar. I would bench probably Hwang, actually. That's what I would look to do. Do you think Eze will start? Good question. I'm not too sure. I think he might make another cameo from the bench, but obviously it depends on Zaha. If Zaha is, not fit, or if he's, on the bench, then yeah, I think Eze will take his place. Livramento or Mbuma first sub? I probably would look to Livramento, but I'm not too sure about that. How good is Ashley Young considering he's playing up front? Well, Ings is actually injured now for Aston Villa, but Ashley Young has been decent in recent weeks. I'd still probably not go for him, and I'd be looking at Cash and Target instead. Tony or Chalobah? I'd play Chalobah. Bowen, Gallagher or Smith Rowe, Saka? To start this week, I probably would go for either Bowen or Gallagher, and maybe Gallagher, but I do like Bowen this week. Suggest a defender with 4.4 million or less to get for Duffy. Let me double check this because I'm not sure if he is still 4.4, but definitely Lamptey for me. It might be a bit sideways in your opinion, but Lamptey should be relatively nailed. He'll probably play 70 minutes most times. Yeah, it has to be Lamptey. Start Tony or Hwang? I'd probably start Hwang because of the fixture. Start Johnson, West Ham or Vardy? Vardy, because if you bench him and Vardy starts, you could be in trouble. So I would start Vardy. Which two should I play between Lamptey, Mbumo, Gallagher and Tony? Gallagher and Lamptey. If not, actually, you know what? I'd go Gallagher and Tony. I'm a bit kind of torn between Lamptey and Tony, but I'd probably go for Tony. Definitely Gallagher, no doubt about it. Dennis, Hwang or Duffy? Anyone to start with? Dennis, it looks like he's going to be out, so it doesn't matter. I'd start Hwang, and Duffy's probably not going to play for you, mate. Serious question, Mbuma to Gundogan or Livramento to Alonso? Great question. It ultimately depends on which area of the pitch is weaker for you. I don't want to sit on the fence. But let's assume that, you're kind of happy with your defence and midfield overall. I think the better transfer would be Mbuma to Gundogan, especially if you already have James, Trent and Cancelo. Ramsdale, Lloris, definitely, I was going to say definitely Ramsdale. Well, this week, if you have both, go for Lloris. But overall, if you need one asset, it's definitely Ramsdale. Start Mbuma or Smith Rowe? I probably would go for Mbuma, but I'm not too confident there. ESR or Tony? Tony. It has to be Tony. Start Foden or Tony? Probably Foden just in case. I think if he's not, fully fit to start, he probably won't come on. Maddison or Bowen? I think this week, tough one. I probably would go for I still go for Bowen, actually. What do you think about Benteke? I still think he's a good asset. I'm not going to change my mind because of one blank. So, yeah, he's a good choice, of course. And I think over this Christmas period, he's probably one of the better strikers. My personal favourite budget striker at the moment has to be King or Dennis, and with King being top because of the underlying stats. Is it worth taking a -4 to sell Smith Rowe and Mbuma to Cornet and Jota, says Sudhindra? Yeah, I think it is, actually. Transfer Region to Alonso, have James. Tough one, isn't it? I would rather have Alonso, but I think Region is worth keeping over these next few weeks, so I probably wouldn't. What is the special thing about Lamptey? It's not like he's special or anything, but he's just such an offensive fullback, and Brighton have a decent defence, and when Brighton keep a clean sheet or he gets an assist, I think he will be in and amongst the bonus points. He is a bit of a bonus points magnet, and he's very, very talented player. The problem with him is the injury record, so I don't think he's special or anything, but he is a good player and a good asset. 4.4 million, you have to set your expectations realistic. Livramento or Lamptey? That's tough. Probably Livramento. Not too sure about that one, though. Livramento or Luiz as first sub? I'd go for Livramento. What happened to Reece James, Dylan? He has a knock, and obviously they're going to have a scan late on, same with Jorginho, to determine whether they can play against Watford. But the way I see it is, if they are fully fit, they will play. That's how I see it. So yeah, any questions about if James is going to play, is pretty much that test will determine everything. So the test hasn't happened yet, so we can't obviously, we can only speculate and give our opinions. I personally think as, things stand, he won't play. But if that test is positive and he's fully fit and there's, the knock is fine and manageable, then I think he will start, because they just can't afford to, just bench their best players. What to do with Foden? I'd sell him, to be honest. I like him a lot, and if he was fit, I'd say keep, but I probably would sell. -8 for Jota. I'm not too keen on -8s, but I would get Jota, and it also depends who you get rid of. So if it's Mbuma to Jota, I'd probably do it. Congrats on Lionel's 7th Ballon d'Or. Yeah, I was kind of expecting it, and that's why last week I ended one of the streams with the Messi Ballon d'Or kind of thing, but yeah, I'm not too surprised, to be honest. Let's see. Is Saka fit to play? We haven't got any news yet, or at least I haven't seen anything since coming live, but yeah, I think Saka could be fine, actually, but either way, I wouldn't want to start him against United, to be honest. Smith Rowe, Gallagher? Gallagher, definitely, and long term, I probably would still say him, unless Eze and Milivojevic really reduces appeal as an asset, which could be possible. Start Antonio, Walker? Definitely Antonio for me. Keep or sell Vardy? It's a tough one. I think if you have enough money to move him to Kane, I probably would just do that and sell him. But otherwise, I'd probably keep. Start Gilmour over Livramento and Townsend? Start him over Townsend, yeah, potentially. But either way, not really expecting too much from either of them. They're probably both going to blank. Is James going to start after the knock? Yeah, once again, any questions about James? Obviously, I wish I knew and I could give you concrete information, but that test will be very important. Tuchel said it himself. And as things stand, if he does have that knock, I don't think he's going to be risked. But if he's fine, of course, he's going to play. He's so important. Thoughts on Alonso, Captain Dylan? I think that could be pretty good. Alonso was getting into some very good positions, was a bit unlucky not to get an assist, had some very good crosses from set pieces, but Alonso, as some Chelsea fans call him, Alonso, he doesn't really offer the same amount of pace and dynamism as Ben Chilwell, so it's kind of a difficult one. I think Alonso will be a good choice, though. If he starts, I think he could be a great captaincy option this week, but I'm going to be holding with Salah, to be quite frank. Which pair do I play out of Jimenez, Antonio, and Tony? Yeah, Antonio and Jimenez is an easy one there, Orville, in my opinion. Would you play Smith Rowe or Antonio? Antonio, easily. There's no doubt about it. Start Livramento, Tony or Smith Rowe. Yeah, I would probably start Tony then, out of those three, if not Livramento. But Tony would probably be my first. That's why he's first on my bench. And Smith Rowe. Livramento is second. Do I go with Adam Armstrong with Antonio up top and put Gallagher on the bench, or do I play a 5-man midfield and bench Armstrong? No, do not bench Gallagher, in my opinion. I think Armstrong could do pretty decent. He had 3 big chances, I think, or at least Southampton had 3 big chances against Liverpool, most of them coming from Armstrong, but I would start Gallagher. Suggest a 5.4 defender. Still Region for me, if you're looking for someone around that price, and if not, I'd look at Target or Matty Cash in a few weeks' time. Not right now, though. Kane or Jota? I'd rather have Jota, if that's the question. Transfer out Foden for who? Already got Jota. Either Gundogan or Bernardo Silva, and then looking at other options, I think definitely Bowen, Gallagher, and all these sorts of choices around 6 million. News on Foden? Well, that's pretty much it. We just don't really have too much news, but Yeah, Foden, unfortunately, it's just a constant injury doubt. If you have him, I'd sell him. And I sold him because he was an injury doubt. Otherwise, I would have actually held him. So it's kind of a blessing in disguise. Otherwise, I wouldn't have gotten Jota. I just look to sell him, to be honest. And yeah, Pep isn't really going to give you too much information. He's got lack of match fitness at the moment. But I would suspect by game week 15, he will get a start. I think maybe he's going to be rested here today or not play against Villa. And against Watford, he will start. And if that's the case, of course, he could do very well. And I actually highlight that City-Watford game as, watch that out for a potential really big scoreline for City. Like, they could win by 5+. But I don't think it's worth holding Foden when you have Jota and all these other options. Is Benteke a doubt for the game? Yeah, there's so many doubts and so many injury news, to be honest, at the moment that I'm literally not sure about most of them. A lot of them are kind of 50-50. Expect more of these kind of scenarios as the week progresses. But yeah, obviously, it's just kind of chaotic at the moment. Start Williams or White? I don't trust Norwich, to be honest, but I might actually be tempted to start him this week. Mbeumo or Armstrong to start? I probably would start Armstrong, yeah. Foden out for a -4 or play Mbeumo? Ooh, that's tough. If the -4 is for Jota, I'd do that. Are you confident in Vardy starting tonight? Not necessarily, to be honest. No, I'm not confident. Start Williams or Tierney? Probably Williams, I guess. And Tierney's probably not going to start, let's be honest. I'd sell Tierney. Sell Vardy for Tony and Basuma to Son, worth taking a hit. It's not a bad hit, actually. It looks pretty good. You might have that kind of situation where you have 8 attackers. So, obviously, I'm guessing you want to have that good squad depth heading into the Christmas period. I think that looks pretty good. Thoughts on bringing in Lukaku? Yeah, not right now, in my opinion. Obviously, it's very important sometimes to get ahead of the curve. But how will he, come back to, the Chelsea team? And, is he actually going to start? Now, I think he will. And if not, it has to be game week 15. And we keep saying this every week. But, yeah, I think he could be a very good option over this Christmas period. Probably one of the better ones for the premium bracket. Kane captain, let's go. Yeah, I think that looks pretty good this week. Maybe even better than Salah. What are your transfer plans this week? Already made it. Townsend out for Gallagher. Livramento to Lamptey. Yep, I think it's worth it. And that's what I probably would have done if I didn't have Townsend already. What do you think of Benrahma? I'd sell. I'd rather have Bowen, possibly even Fornals. Look, Benrahma can still tick over nicely, but that kind of early season purple patch is just not going to happen again, is it? Or at least not for the time being. Let's never say never. Is holding a transfer a good thing this week? I think so. And a lot of people have done that. I would have done the same thing if I didn't have Townsend. If I already have had Gallagher, what I would have done this week is hold and have 2 free transfers heading into game week 15. But Gallagher is that much better than Townsend, and Townsend is so bad that I had to do it. So I think it's worth it, yeah. What to do with Foden? I'd probably sell. Obviously, it can always backfire, especially against Watford, but I'd probably sell. TMP says, who to captain? Salah isn't giving much points. Well, if you have Kane, I probably would look to captain him. Yeah, look, that's the thing, though. It's up to you who you captain, and there's so many different options every week. The reason why I'm going to be sticking with Salah is because my other 2 alternatives, Vardy and James, are kind of doubtful to start in game week 14. And also, Everton are very poor defensively, and I just back Salah. He's also got penalties in his favour, and he's just so consistent. He rarely blanks. And even if, let's say, Salah blanks or doesn't do too well, I'm not really affected by it because his effective ownership is so high. Now, I'll be honest, I don't really care that much about effective ownership, but I think Salah kind of mitigates the captaincy this year, and it's kind of my differentials like an Alonso or a Vardy that kind of push me up the ranks. But to be honest, you can go for one of those you mentioned, even James, but he's just a doubt this week. I can't really go for him. Jota's a good choice, but once again, would you captain him over Salah? I mean, it's up to you if you do. Everton have conceded more of their chances from the centre rather than the wings, and, they tend to, mark Salah quite heavily. So you might be onto something there, but personally, unless I had Kane, I probably would just be looking to captain Salah. And yeah, I think if Salah does really well and you don't captain him, you're going to be in a bit of trouble. So that's another thing you have to consider. And there's a lot of mathematics involved. Once again, though, I'm just captaining the player I think will score the most points, or at least the player I'm the most confident in starting and notching a return. I am confident of Vardy and James doing very well if they start, but are they going to start? That's another question in itself, and I'm not that confident about it. Maddison thoughts? I think over the next 4 game weeks he could look really good, but we keep talking about Maddison like every year. He looks really good in 1 game week, and then he produces 6-7 blanks in a row. He's quite inconsistent. Obviously, when he's fully confident, when he's facing a poor team like Watford, he can do extremely well. And even against the big teams like Chelsea last year, he did extremely well. But I probably won't be going there. And I already have Vardy. If I didn't, then maybe I'd be a bit more, open to the idea. I might have even have gotten Maddison instead of Gallagher. What do you think about Benrahma? Once again, I probably look to sell. I've answered this before. Little late to the stream. What do you think about Kane in for Hwang or Tony -4? Yeah, I think it's probably worth it. The thing is, I'd rather keep Tony than Hwang long term, but this week Hwang will probably outscore Tony, or at least has the better fixture. But yeah, ultimately I think the best move if you want to get Kane this week is taking a -4, Hwang out for Kane, and if not, wait for next week and then make the transfer for free. Sup Dylan, should I get Alonso for Kyle Walker? Tough one. I probably would. But just bear in mind, Alonso isn't going to start every single game. The same goes for Walker, to be fair. And also, City do have better fixtures in the long term. Best Foden replacement, other than Jota, who is just very obvious, I'd be looking at either Gundogan or Bernardo Silva. And then otherwise, it's, that kind of cheaper bracket. Cornet, Gallagher. Gallagher would still be kind of top of those 6 million options, though. And, of course, Jared Bowen. I like Jared Bowen a lot. And I might get him soon. What do you think about captaining Lukaku? It's risky, but it could pay off, to be fair. And if I had Lukaku still, I probably would look to put the armband on him or at least vice-captain him. But once again, is he definitely going to start or at least play close to 90 minutes? That's kind of a different question. Should I sell Antonio? I probably wouldn't ahead of Brighton. I think he's going to score. That's my personal gut feeling. Of course, trust your own instincts. If you don't feel the same and you just think there are better options elsewhere, then go for it. If you do, decide to sell him, I probably would be looking at Joshua King, just long term. I think Joshua King will do very well. Emmanuel Dennis is another one, but just bear in mind he does have the African Cup of Nations soon, and he is an injury out for this week and possibly game week 15 too. So it has to be King or Benteke for me. Otherwise, you're looking at the premium options up front. Dennis and Alonso for Marcel Antonio on a -4, says Murad. Once again with Dennis, he's I think marked at 50%. Let me double check this, but I'm pretty sure he's not going to play this week, or at least he's very unlikely to. Yeah, he's 50%. He's got a knock. It didn't really look too good, and obviously there's still a chance, but it's not a big chance of him starting, so I probably wouldn't do that, mate. Start Smith Rowe or Mbeumo? I'd start Mbeumo probably. Maybe I'm being a bit too pessimistic with Arsenal, but that's kind of just the way I feel. James captain, probably not because he is a doubt this week. And thank you, Kobe, by the way, for monitoring the chat. Let's see. Should I sell Diaz now? It depends who for. If it's for James, Trent or Cancelo, then yes, definitely. Otherwise, you don't have to. And the only one I'd really consider is either Alonso, and otherwise just downgrading to a Region, a Lamptey, etc. to fund other moves. Thoughts on buying Sancho? It's definitely one to keep an eye on. See how he does against Arsenal. And also, I think it's going to be under character. That's the thing, so it's difficult. But let's see how he does under Ranić, because he's doing very, exceptionally well under Michael Carrick. But can that continue with Ranić? Probably. He could even raise his level even further. But I think it's something to keep an eye on over this kind of winter period. And he might be the one to go for over Bruno Fernandes. Gundogan or Bernardo Silva? Once again, I think both of them are great choices. Statistically, Gundogan is actually better, and I think over the coming weeks he will be the biggest goal threat for City, or at least a bigger goal threat than Bernardo Silva. But up until now, Bernardo Silva has looked better overall, and he's just such a quality player. So right now it's Bernardo Silva, but I think in 1 or 2 weeks' time I'd probably be looking to say Gundogan, and I think both of them are great choices. 50-50 for me. Best budget forward to replace Hwang? Joshua King. I don't want to follow up Hwang with the other word. Yeah, him or Benteke, and for me, I'd go for King. Get Gundogan for Foden. I think that's good, mate. Thank you, Arba. Would you captain Kane over Salah if you had him? I actually would heavily consider it. I don't know if I actually would. Maybe in the end I wouldn't, but I would heavily consider it, mate. Should I sell Rafinha for Jota? I probably would. Look, as much as I love Rafinha for the next 2 game weeks, I probably would do that. Bring in James or Alonso? That's tough. I mean, the fact that James is a doubt this week, it's tough for me to say him, but overall, James is a better asset, and I'd rather have him. Want to sell Zaha? What do you think? I probably would, and I look once again. If you don't have Gallagher, you can go to him. Jota, of course, is an easy, switch if you don't have him, and of course Bernardo Silva, Gundogan, etc. Thoughts on James? I don't think they're going to risk him. So if the final test, the late test is positive and he's fine to play, then I think he will play. But if there is any sort of risk, I don't think they will. They'll put him in the starting 11, to be honest. Thank you, Jorginho Robbed. What a name, by the way. Thank you for tuning in. Ode in Mbeumo out -4. Are you on about Odegaard? Apologies if I got that wrong. But if it is, then definitely not. Dennis is out this week. Watford said he is a doubt. Yeah, he's got a massive knock. He's 50% chance of playing. And yeah, I looked at the news as well from Watford. They have so many injuries. I think Ben Foster's still out. Ismail Assar, that's not looking too good. So, Chelsea, if they can get those players like Jorginho and James fully fit for that game, it could be a big scoreline. Rafinha out for Gundogan means I can't get Antonio. I probably would keep Rafinha over the next two and just evaluate the Gundogan-Bernardo Silva situation, but I think they're both good. Welcome, Cyril. Hi, Dylan and Boomer. Price fall tonight. I want to get rid. Gallagher and Gundogan price rise tonight. Thoughts on who to bring in? Well, Gallagher is the better asset so far this season, but I think looking at the fixtures, looking at what's been happening recently, Gundogan might be the one who kind of pushes away. But as of now, I would say Gallagher, and I actually went for him in the end. If I had enough money for Gundogan myself, I would have heavily considered him, doing Townsend to Gundogan. But yeah, I think Gundogan is someone I'd be looking to bring in 2 weeks potentially for Rafinha. But right now, I'd still say Gallagher. Just bear in mind the Eze and Milivojevic, how they affect him. Should I start Smith Rowe or Hwang this game week? For me, I'd start Hwang. I'd play the fixture, DP Lalu. Thank you, Ogona News. Very much appreciated. Oh, I don't know why I said news, by the way. Nwani. I don't know why I saw news. Reece James doesn't have a flag for me. That's strange. I think if you refresh, he will have a flag. But yeah, he's been basically in the press conference. They've been talking about him. And he does have a knock. So it is a possibility he doesn't start in game week 14. Ronaldo or Vardy? Over the next 3 or 4 Vardy, long term, it has to be Ronaldo. But once again with Ronaldo, and I've said this a few times, and a lot of people have pointed it out, is he going to play every 3 or 4 days? We saw it just the other day. He got benched against Chelsea in such an important game, and I think that could happen more often than not. And it happened even with Zidane when he was 32, 33 years old, holding him for the Champions League. So bear that in mind. But of course, playing the fixtures, I think he's looking really good. Should I start Rafinha or Cornet? Probably Rafinha. I think, Palace have a big problem with set pieces. I think that he could do really well. By the way, apologies if the connection kind of drops. Unfortunately, I've been having a few internet problems. But back to the point about Rafinha, sorry. So, yeah, with Rafinha, Palace suffer a lot from set pieces. Rafinha's a quality set piece taker. I think he could get maybe an assist or 2 in this game. But of course, let's wait and see. Vieira's probably going to be working on set pieces all week. Vardy to came from -4. Tough one. But because Vardy is a doubt to start, I probably would say yes. But I'd still be a bit reluctant, Roger. Thoughts on bringing in Mason Mount? No chance for me. I mean, he literally came off the bench the other day, and there's so many other options now. Werner's back, Lukaku, Kai Havertz. No, I wouldn't go there. Not right now. Keep or sell Duffy and Gaeta. Gaeta I'd keep for now. I'd mainly look at selling Duffy and improving your squad depth. But ultimately, in the long term, I'd rather have Ramsdale or Sanchez than Gaeta. Who do you think will be the 3 highest scoring midfielders by the end of the year? That's a great question. Currently, Salah, Mane and Gallagher. I think Salah, of course, he's a no-brainer. The other one, I think, would be... I think Sadio Mane. Liverpool are just so good offensively at the moment. And the third one... Ooh, that's tough. I think Son... It's tough, isn't it? Normally I'd say Bruno Fernandes, but this season it doesn't look right. Not right now, anyway. But yeah, I'd probably say Son still. Not too sure, though. Hey Dylan, holding transfer this week. Next week, do you think I should bring in for Hwang and Jimenez? Note 1.7 million in the bank. King for Hwang, the other way around. And for Jimenez, I would be looking at Antonio still. Antonio, or once Bamford and Calvert-Lewin are back, I'd be looking at one of those instead. Because, for 1.7 million or whatever, you're not going to have too much money to upgrade to a Vardy, a Kane, etc. Starting Boom or Livramento. Probably Livramento, but I'm not too sure about that one. Kane or Son? Probably Kane, especially because of your team structure. Diaz to Kyle Walker? I don't think it's worth it, Brandon. No. Are you concerned about benching Tony given he's designated penalty taker? It's always a risk benching a penalty taker, but no, I'm not that concerned. If he gets points, he gets points at the end of the day. And also, if James or Vardy miss out, he can come in. Would you now go for Alonso or Rudiger? Still Alonso for me. Whoa, jeez, voice crack. But I do like Rudiger too, and he's a bit of a safer pick long term. Saka for Lucas Moura, no Spurs asset. No, not Lucas Moura for me. I definitely wouldn't go there. If you want a Spurs asset, Kane, Son, or Reguilon or Emerson Royal. Play Rafinha, bench James. I wouldn't bench James just in case he starts, to be honest, Oscar. Would you sell Duffy to Lamptey or roll the transfer? I'd probably roll the transfer if you have enough squad depth to cover this week. But if you have a feeling one or two of your players will miss out and you need someone to come on, then I would make the transfer and get Lamptey. Yeah, Marco, yeah. So yeah, some people are looking to get rid of Gallagher, but yeah, I'm looking to ultimately, well, I've brought him in right now. Once again, I still got doubts and I was looking at all the budget options, but I just looked at Townsend and I needed someone right now, and I think Gallagher could still do very well, especially if he plays as the attacking midfielder in a 4-2-3-1. Is Van der Beek an option for a cheaper midfielder? No, not for me, and there's no guarantee he will play under the new manager Ranić, and we won't find out until game week 15 it looks like, because Carrick is going to be at the wheel for one more game week against Arsenal, but no, not for me. Best replacement for Saka? You're looking at Gallagher once again, Cornet, Bowen, and if I had to narrow it down, it has to be Gallagher or Bowen for me. Harvey Barnes or Mbumo? Barnes. Rafinha, Gallagher, Jimenez, Reguilon, Antonio, who to bench? That's tough, mate. I wouldn't look to bench any of them, but if I had to bench one, probably Reguilon. Would you sell Duffy to Lamptey or roll the transfer? Yeah, I answered this already, Jared. Duffy will play. I think he might get the occasional start, but I don't think he's going to start well, he's not going to start most games, to be honest. Vardy to Son next week, is it worth it? I think it might be, yeah. It might be worth it, but honestly, I'd rather have Kane right now. Hey Dylan, what do you think about Vardy to Wilson move? I wouldn't go there. Wilson's one yellow card away from suspension. He only has 2 good fixtures, as opposed to Vardy, who has 4 good fixtures coming up. I probably wouldn't do that. Duffy out for Johnson or Lamptey -4? Probably Lamptey, but I do like Johnson as well. Should I do a -4 to bring Gallagher in place of Benrahma? Yes, I probably would. Actually, no. Backtrack. I'm looking at the fixture this week. I think Benrahma could do alright. I probably wouldn't take a hit. Maybe wait for next week, and when Benrahma has a very poor fixture in Chelsea. Play Duffy or Livramento? Probably Livramento. Best replacement, I have Jota, Son, Gallagher in my team. I'm not sure what your question is. I'm guessing it's best Foden replacement. If it is Foden replacement, then I'd be looking at a City midfielder, Gundogan or Bernardo Silva. Who would you bench out of White and Livramento? I'd bench White. Smith Rowe or Mbumo? I'd start Mbumo this week. Wilson or Maximan? I'd go for Wilson, but once again, 1 yellow card away from suspension, and I wouldn't bring any of them in this week, if I'm being completely honest. Any news on James being left out this week? There's no news that I know that no one else does. It's pretty much what's been reported in the press conference, and he's got a knock. There's going to be a late test. Let's see what that test says, but until that happens, I can't tell you, and no one can, with any certainty. Hey Dylan, I got 1 free transfer, 0.6 million. Should I hold or sell Foden? I got Livramento and Mbumo, White on the bench. I probably would look to sell Foden, and if you don't have Jota, easy switch. Duffy will play? I don't think so. Should I start Armstrong or Mbumo? I'd start Armstrong, Anthony. Would you take a hit for Alonso this week? Probably not, unless you really need that squad depth. Switch Alonso for James? Not this week, because James is an injury doubt, but in future weeks, yeah, it might be worth it. Smith Rowe or Mbumo? Once again, Mbumo this week, but long term, Smith Rowe is the better option. Hi Dylan, which week is great to play free hit? Blank game weeks, especially a major blank game week, if not a double game week. That's what I would be looking at, to be honest. Should I take a -4 for Foden to Gundogan? Reluctantly, I'd probably say yes, Kian. Remove Son for Gundogan and Chalobah for Cancelo -4 hit. Removing Son though. No. I think he can do well against Brentford and Norwich. I like the other moves. I like them a lot, but to be honest, I'd probably hold because Son and Chalobah could do well this week. But of course, Cancelo and Gundogan long term, or at least Cancelo, very good option long term. James flagged. Yep, he's got a knock. Hey Dylan, I took the chance and captain Jota this game week. Good luck, Jeremy. Hopefully it pays off for you. Yeah, I probably won't be going there myself, but that's why sometimes going away from the pack is what separates you from the rest. Would you sell Reguilon to Alonso? Personally, I would, but I don't think it's necessary because Reguilon has 2 good fixtures coming up and decent games in the long run. Start Foden or Tony? I'd start Foden just in case, but I'm not too confident of him starting this week. Bowen versus Gallagher this game week? Very 50-50 to be honest. I'd start both. I wouldn't bench any of them if that's my answer. I wouldn't bench either. I'd find a way, even if it means benching, I don't know. Let's say, for example, a Foden even or a Tony, definitely. Who's the best Jimenez replacement after the Burnley game? Under 8 million. Yeah, it has to be King for me. I know it's kind of a different price bracket, but it has to be King. James is my only Chelsea defender. Hold or swap? No, just hold, because even if he misses this week, he should be fine for the weekend. Take a hit to get Foster out, injured till Gameweek 22 for Ramsdale and rotate him with Sanchez. Don't take a hit. It's not worth it, especially when Ramsdale plays United. Just make the transfer next week for free. Don't do it for a hit. Trust me. Drop Antonio to bring in Jota. I probably would just hold Antonio right now, but then maybe next week have Jota in. Of course, it might be a bit counterintuitive because Jota, or at least Firmino, is coming back very soon. But yeah, I still think Jota's a good or a good position or a good player in the long term. Switch Alonso to James. Not this week because once again James is an injury out, so don't do it this week. If anything, do it when he's confirmed, fully fit. Bowen or Gundogan in for Mbumo. I'd still say Bowen, but I like Gundogan a lot and I am keeping my eye on him. It's going to be between those two, I think, to replace Rafinha. So in a few weeks' time, obviously I might, have a different opinion with more data, but right now that's what I look at. What's your team value? So just to make this clear, I've got, let's go to the pick team section. I literally don't pay attention to transfer value if I'm being completely honest, but 103.7 million and I've got 0.8 in the bank, so overall 104.5 million squad value according to the FPL website. Johnson, cheap starting defender. Yeah, it has to be him or Lamptey for me, and around 4 million there's no one better than Johnson right now. Armstrong or Tony? Armstrong this week. Hudson-Odoi, a good buy. Is that it? I think it's a decent one, but once again, I don't think he's the best. I think there are better choices elsewhere in midfield, which I keep talking about, so not for me. Semedo or Foden, who to start? I'd still start Foden just in case, but chances are he won't play and Semedo will come on anyway. Take it for Jota, Havertz for Jota. Yep, I would do it, mate. Should I bench Smith Rowe or Lamptey or Tony? Smith Rowe, I'd bench him, Mustafa. Mount to Maddison and Matip to Cancelo for a -4. Yeah, I'd go for it, definitely. I think that looks amazing, to be honest. That's a good set of transfers. Wilson, Saint-Maximin in for or for Tony. I wouldn't do that because 2 game weeks. Wilson's 1 yellow card away from suspension. I'm not even that confident about Newcastle against Norwich. So personally, I wouldn't do that. But if you had to pick, Wilson. Should I sell Mendy for Ramsdale? Not this week. Do it next week. Watford have a lot of problems. I think Chelsea could easily keep a clean sheet. They've got 4 clean sheets in a row on the road. So I probably would just hold this week and do it next week. Transferring Bowen or Gallagher this game week. Probably still Gallagher, but I like Bowen a lot. Jota plus Rudiger or Son and Duffy? Jota and Rudiger. Duffy's no longer playing. I got Jota for Foden. I think that's the right thing to do. Will Vardy play? I wish I could answer this with certainty. I think he's going to miss out one of the next 3 game weeks, and I don't know if it's going to be this one or the next one or the one after, but my opinion is if he is rested, it will be against Southampton. He plays in the Europa League and at the weekend against Aston Villa, I believe, and then he plays against Newcastle, unless he plays all of these next 3 games I just mentioned and then is benched against Newcastle. But yeah, it's a tough one there. I think there's a chance that he is benched, probably 50-50. Thank you very much for the super chat. You never walk alone, Anchor. Hopefully I said that right. Thank you very much. Thanks for your patient help each week. Good luck. Good luck to you as well. And obviously you didn't have to, but very, very honoured for you to send the super chat in. And thank you for always tuning in, mate. Well, maybe I should say last, but yeah, thank you very much. Start Antonio or Diaz? Antonio, yeah. Same team as you, just have Mbumo instead of Gallagher, so starting Tony. Yeah, I mean, I would have done the same thing. If I didn't get Gallagher in this week, I would have done that, to be honest. Should I keep Foden? I have Jota on my bench. Is Mbumo, Sissoko, Manquillo? Yeah, I'd sell him. Yeah, even though you have Jota already, I'd look to maybe get another C midfielder. If not, Gallagher, Bowen, Cornet, this kind of same options. Tony, Livramento, Smith Rowe, play 1. Tony or Livramento, and if I had to pick, Tony. Mbumo or Dennis, who to start? Dennis is a big doubt to start this week. I'd just start Mbumo. Who should I replace Duffy for? Lamptey or Johnson, I'd probably look at. There's still Ben White and all these other options, but I think one of those two, to be honest. Anthony says Ramsdale, Cancelo, Reece, Alonso, Trent, Bernardo, Salah, Jota. 1 free transfer left. Who should I buy? Okay, that's interesting. So I think you could hold this week, but if not, one transfer you could do. I'm not sure how much money you have in the bank, Anthony, but I think Mbumo to Gallagher could be the way to go. If not, Jarrod Bowen, I think, is another one. Yeah. Mbumo to Bowen or Gallagher. And otherwise, if you don't have enough money or, you're not really feeling it, then maybe just wait and roll your transfer. Mount, a good shout for the Watford game. Week only for Foden or Rafinha. Have wildcard, I can risk. Yeah, if you're using your wildcard very soon, like Game Week 15 or 16, then it could be a really good pick, but I'm probably still a bit apprehensive, of course. But if you're really feeling, if you have a good feeling of him starting and doing well, then go for it. But I wouldn't do it. You should change vice captain, no? Potentially, but then I'm not too sure who to go for. I don't want to go for a player of the same team just in case a game gets cancelled. Maybe Antonio, I guess. But yeah, it's a good point. Maybe I should change it. I had it originally on Reece James, but then I changed it to Vardy, especially after the injury news of Reece James. But yeah, honestly, it doesn't really matter. I think Salah will play against Everton. Having said that, though, there is this thing where around December, Salah's always pretty much rested, over the years, including one 5-2 victory against Everton. So I wouldn't really put it beyond the realms of possibility that Salah is actually benched here. So maybe vice captaincy is more important than we think. So yeah, it is something worth considering. I probably wouldn't put it on Gallagher or Rafinha. Maybe just Antonio. I might do it that way. It might sound a bit weird. If not Marcus Alonso. Yeah, I might just do that. Let's see how that works. Either way, if Salah does, if he is benched, I think he'll come off, especially if Liverpool are in need of a goal. And I think Everton will be up for the game. They will make it as difficult as they can. Richarlison's back, Doucouré's there. So it's not too bad. Start Edouard or Tony, or just bench James. I'd probably start Edouard, not really to... yeah, I wouldn't bench James. Should I bench Ramsdale or Sanchez? I'd bench Sanchez still. Why is Duffy not starting? Well, he's not first choice, and this was shown a few weeks back around Game Week 9, I believe, where when everyone was available, he was benched. So, yeah, he's not first choice pretty much. He was only really starting every game because others were injured. Play free between Cornet, Vardy, James and Benteke. So bench one, basically. I would bench... Oh, that's tough. It's between Cornet and Benteke. And let me just refresh my memory about Burnley. Yeah, I probably would bench... it's a tough one. I will say that. It is a tough one, but I probably would say Benteke. But yeah, obviously, don't be too surprised if I got the wrong one there. What I would say is Wolves are quite decent defensively, but very fortunate not to lose to Norwich the other day. Son and Boomer to Jota Foden, says Ninja. Yeah, I don't... No, I mean, getting Foden in right now when he's injured out, I wouldn't do that, no. Is James going to play? If there's any risk of him being injured, and once again, the late scan will determine this, I can't tell you for sure right now. No matter what I say, even if I'm proven right, if I say the right thing, it's literally just an educated guess, rather than anything else. I personally think if James is, the test is fine, he will start. But if there's any risk of an injury, then he's just going to be on the bench. That's literally how I see it, or even left out of the squad. Right now, as things stand, I'm leaning towards him not starting, but let's wait and see. Worried about the return of Eze. I've talked about this before. It still worries me, or at least it still is a factor that I've considered. And the same goes for Milivojevic, but I've ultimately gone for Gallagher. Regardless of, these factors making Gallagher less of a good asset, I still think he's far better than Townsend, so I'm happy to have made the transfer. Kane as a differential captain, yep. I think, if you're not really backing Salah, if you maybe think he's going to get benched, then I would go for Kane, yeah. Start Antonio Diaz, Antonio, mate, as I said before. Foden to Jota or Tule and keep transfer. No, I'd do it, Mohamed. I'd get Jota in right now. Start Jimenez or Antonio. Start both. I wouldn't bench any of them, mate. I mean, I don't know what the rest of your team is, but if I had to pick one to bench, that's tough. That is really tough. Probably Jimenez, but maybe I'm being a bit too optimistic with Antonio. Remove some for Gundogan and Chalobah for Cancelo, -4 hit. I mentioned this before, Ashraf. I think it's a good set of transfers, but I don't think the hit is worth it because Son and Chalobah could do very well in Game Week 14. Thoughts on Kai Havertz? Could do well against Watford if he starts, but ultimately I'd rather get Jota and so many other options elsewhere. What are you doing with Vardy? I'm keeping. I've already made my transfer, so I'm not really looking to do anything else there. White plus and Boomer to Region and Gilmore -4. I don't think it's worth it, Hugo, personally. Start Johnson or Mbumo? Good question. I probably would look to start Johnson, actually. Thank you, Fine Dutchman. Good evening to you as well. Rafinha, Gallagher, Jimenez, Vardy, Region, Antonio, who to bench? I think you said this before, mate, and I went with Region on the bench. Son and Brownhill to Jota and Gallagher. Yep, I would do that, Ali, even though I'm a bit apprehensive about getting rid of Son. Hi, Dylan. Should I keep Foden and roll my... Yeah, I said this before, Eddie. I probably would look to sell Foden for Jota. I already said this. Hey, what about Captain Say Maximan? Nah, not for me. I don't trust Newcastle. I think Norwich could actually win that game, personally. Zaha, Bowen, Rafinha and Tony. Drop one off to the bench. Zaha. I probably would. If not, Tony. Yeah, it's one of those two for sure. And definitely start Bowen and Rafinha. Maybe just drop Tony and let's see what happens with Zaha. But yeah, it's between those two. Have Jota, Rafinha and Salah midfield. Who to get for Foden? Gundogan or Bernardo Silva. And if not, if you're looking for someone cheaper, I'd look for Gallagher or Bowen. Sancho or Jota? Jota. What do you think about Pukki versus Newcastle? I think he's a good choice, actually. I'm a bit more optimistic about him than Callum Wilson and Say Maximan. Any plans for Vardy? Saw he was a risk of rotation. Wondering if I should replace him. If you have enough money to go to Kane, I would do it. Otherwise, I'm looking to hold pretty much. So that's what I would have done. If I had enough money, I would have done Vardy to Kane, despite obviously what's happened recently. But yeah, I wouldn't really be looking to sell to anyone else right now. Rafinha or Diaz to start? Rafinha. Should I play Brandon Williams or Foden? Just start Foden in case, but not too optimistic. Yeah, Rohan, already answered your question. Start McCarthy or Ramsdale? Mbeumo, Hwang and Joshua, start two. I'd start Ramsdale still, and I would start Hwang and Mbeumo, yeah. Play Tony, Williams or Mbeumo? Tony, and I'd put Williams first sub and Mbeumo second, I guess. It's not really, I'm not too sure about that one though, but I'd probably start Tony. Start Rafinha or Say Maximan? I'd start Rafinha. Will Marcel play? I still think Nuri will, to be honest. Smith Rowe or Tony? Who to start? Tony. Should I take a hit for Duffy to Lamptey for my bench? No, I wouldn't take a hit for that. Whom to start? Tony or Hwang? Hwang. James on the bench or starting 11? I would start him just in case, but do I think he's going to start? Right now, no. But that late test can change everything. Wilson captain. If you're looking for a differential, it's not a bad choice, but I probably wouldn't. Do I take out Saka or Mount, or do I roll? I would take out Saka right now and then next week look to get rid of Mount, because Mount could do very well against Watford. I wouldn't sell him, but I wouldn't be buying him. Livramento over Mbeumo if I have Tony in. Yeah, I probably would. Christensen to play? I think so. But once again with Chelsea, I mean, we get the lineups very wrong often. Jimenez or Armstrong? Jimenez for sure. If this is for a long-term purchase, I don't think either of them really fit the bill. What do you think about Foden to Gundogan and Mbeumo to Bowen next week? That looks great, Toby. I probably would look to do something similar. Yeah, I think that's good. Antonio over Hwang and Gallagher over Rafinha. Thoughts? I think that looks good, to be honest, Gustav. Yeah. Dylan just has a bias against Arsenal, so hasn't mentioned Smith Rowe at all. Against Arsenal? I'm an Arsenal fan, mate. Will Vardy and James start? Once again, if James is fit, I think he will start. If there's any risk of injury, he won't. That's as simple as that. As for Vardy, I think if there's any game he's going to be rested in, I think it's this one. So I'm not really confident of either of them starting. Start Armstrong or Jimenez? Jimenez, mate, once again. What about Walker to replace Chilwell? Personally, look, Walker's a good option, but I'd rather have Cancelo, James, Trent. If you can't get into any of them, or you already have them, I'd look to Alonso or Rudiger, and even Diaz. Then it would be Walker, I guess, but I'd mainly be looking at someone like Reguilon for a bit cheaper, Matty Cash or Target in a few game weeks' time. And if not, once again, we're looking at Ben Johnson and Lamptey. So probably not for me, but Walker's still a decent choice. Yeah, Khalid, I would bench Tony. I'd bench Tony. Ramsdale or Sanchez, who to start with? I'd start Ramsdale. Start Reece James or Hwang? I'd start Reece James just in case. Is it a decent bench essential over the Christmas period? I think it's important. I don't think it's absolutely essential. I think it might be a bit over-exaggerated, but it is important. It definitely is. You know, if you just have Livramento on your bench, you have problems. You have to have at least one more good player. And even then, Livramento's not looking too good. Play Gaito or Ramsdale? That's a tough one, actually. That's a tough one. I would probably play Gaita. Yeah. Hey, Dylan, do you like Son to Bowen in 16 and getting Ings in Game Week 17? I have Antonio. It depends if Ings is, actually fit by then. He is actually out for Game Week 14, but it's not too bad. I like Bowen, but would I do Son to Bowen and then getting Ings? I'm not sure about that, to be honest. Foden out? If yes, then Bernardo or Gundogan. I would sell him. If you already have Jota, which I'm guessing you do. I've been saying Bernardo Silva all stream and also throughout the weeks, but to be honest, I have a feeling about Gundogan being very good over the next few weeks, and right now, looking at players, I'm, keeping an eye on both of them, by the way. One of Bernardo Silva and Gundogan is coming in for Rafinha at the moment. If not, it will be Bowen. And yeah, I still think Bernardo Silva, but I am kind of leaning towards Gundogan, so I'm 50-50 on that one. Start Antonio over Hwang and start Gallagher over Rafinha. I wouldn't bench Rafinha, but I would start Antonio over Hwang, yeah. Should I do Alonso for Ruben Diaz? I wouldn't sell Ruben Diaz. Not right now anyway, because Alonso, will he definitely start? I know why you're doing that, to be fair. If you have a free transfer, then go for it, but I don't think you have to be fair. Should I get Saka out, do you reckon, mate? Yeah, I'd sell him, to be honest. Green Arrows Dylan to you as well. Kerwin, thank you very much for tuning in. Livermento or Semedo? I'd start Semedo this week. James E. Mahrez or Smith Rowe E. Trent? I'd probably say Smith Rowe and Trent. Yeah, I wouldn't go... just Mahrez puts me off, but of course I like James a lot. Is Chalobah a sure starter? Not a sure starter, but I think he will start maybe 1 or 2 of the next 3. Should I take a hit and sell Vardy for Jimenez right now? I don't trust my bench. I wouldn't take a hit for that because you're taking a hit for someone who has 1 good game week and then 7 poor ones in a row. Not for me. Should I buy Bernardo? If it's to replace Foden, then yes. Bernardo Silva, Gundogan, once again, I'm 50-50 on that. I'd right now say Bernardo Silva, but I think Gundogan is a great option as well. And I mentioned this even 2 weeks ago. Wilson, Antonio or Hwang as a forward? Thanks. If this is long term, it's definitely Antonio for me. If you have to start one this week, then probably Wilson, but yeah, Antonio's definitely my favourite from those 3. Best under 7 million striker, Joshua King. Hold transfer, I think that is probably the right call to do in most cases, but I went and got Gallagher in. Should I start Lamptey? It depends who is for Amini. Thoughts on my bench order, Ramsdale, Smith Rowe, Hwang, Livramento. I put Hwang over Smith Rowe, and I think most people can agree with that, to be fair. Livramento to Region and play 5 defenders with Hwang on the bench. Other option is to save transfer and play 4 defenders and Hwang. I'd rather, have Lamptey instead of Region with your structure because I'm guessing you have kind of 4 quite expensive defenders already. But yeah, you can just start Hwang this week. I think the problem with Hwang is later on, and that's when you should sell him. Welcome, Genius Gamer. Antonio or Tony, which one will be good to start? Definitely Antonio. I mean, look at the fixture, and also, Tony was pretty anonymous other than the actual penalty he got. Take Foden out and bring Sancho in for a -4 or hold the transfer. I'd probably hold. I wouldn't take a hit for Sancho who faces Arsenal. Probably not for me. Will Saka play? I have a feeling he will, but regardless, it's a sell for me. Just my personal opinion. Thoughts on Wilson captain? It's not a bad shout. It's not the worst thing I've heard, but I don't think... a lot of people are looking at this fixture and thinking that Norwich are the weaker team. Right now, Newcastle are the worst team in the league, and Norwich are in the ascendancy. I think Pukki, I'd rather have him for this fixture than Wilson as things stand. He's a good choice, but I wouldn't captain him. Bench 1, Cornet, Rafinha and Gallagher. Probably Cornet. Thoughts on Walker to replace Chilwell? I talked about this before. He's a decent option, but I prefer others. Newcastle players? No. They only have 2 good game weeks. If you don't have them already, I wouldn't be bringing them in. No. Tony for King? Yeah. If you're looking to get King in, I probably would do that in 2 or 3 game weeks time. Tony has good fixtures after Tottenham. Is it worth taking a -4 for Antonio to Dennis so I can get Trent? Getting Antonio in for Dennis? No, yeah, there's no point taking a -4 to bring in a player who's injured for Game Week 14 and he faces Chelsea anyway, and then he faces what? City? Yeah, no, I wouldn't do that. Greenwood to Jota, take a hit and do Foden to Bernardo? I probably would take the hit in that case, Goldhead, yeah. Is Jota essential? As things stand, he's as close to essential as you can get. Other than Salah, of course. So, yeah, I would look to bring him in, yeah. My head-to-head rival has Kane captain, so should I also make Kane captain? Honestly, look, this might sound stupid, but this is how I see it. Just captain the player you think is going to get the most points. So if you think it's Salah, go for him. If you think it's Kane, go for him. I think those 2 are probably the best captaincy options this week, with Reece James being a doubt, with Vardy possibly being rotated. James and Marcel out for Alonso and who? Don't get rid of James, trust me. Even if he misses out Game Week 14, you want him later on. Marcel out for Lamptey is an option for you, or Ben Johnson. Keep Gallagher or bring in Cornet in 2 weeks' time. Keep Gallagher, I'd keep him right now, and then assess in a few weeks' time. Best alternative for Foden, other than Jota, of course, it has to be either Gundogan or Bernardo Silva, and then I'd be looking at the cheaper options, Bowen and Gallagher. So those are the best ones, the best 5. Is it worth starting Tony versus Spurs? I think it's worth it. I just benched him, or I am benching him because I've got Gallagher in there as well. Ramsdale, Sanchez, Ramsdale long term, and this week probably Ramsdale as well. Hi, mate. Do you think that Vardy will get rested soon? Well, have you heard things in the media? Obviously, I'd love to say I've heard things in the media, but I've got no, sources or inside information right now, unfortunately. But I think Vardy is possibly going to be rested against Southampton and then play against Napoli, against, who is it that they play next? Villa, and then Newcastle. So that's what I think will happen. Thank you, Melvin, for the shout. And as he says, please subscribe and like the video. If you haven't already, smash the like button and subscribe if you're new around here. Share this video around with anyone else who loves FPL, and we'll try to get through as many questions and comments as possible. We've already gone through a lot. We've now got, an hour left for the deadline? Just under an hour, actually. You can also follow me on Twitter and Instagram, Dylan_RCM. You can, keep up to date with all my latest uploads, and also the same by subscribing and clicking the bell notification. You can join the Discord server. The link is in the description below. You can talk with the rest of the community and also with myself, especially if you become a channel member, and there is a members only channel. So thank you very much to everyone. Let's go back to my team. This is how it's looking like. I've changed my vice captaincy to Alonso. I originally had it on Reece James, then I had it on Vardy. I'm not too sure about that. Maybe Brendan Rodgers is kind of playing mind games or whatever. He's still going to play Vardy in most of these matches. And against Napoli, I mean, Daka has been doing very well in the Europa League. He could be the one starting. But yeah, because of these kind of doubts surrounding the other captainable options in my team, I think it's just going to be a Salah captaincy, I'm afraid. Of course, Jota, you shouldn't underestimate him. He's decent. Trent, Cancelo as well. And even Antonio is not too bad, of course, but his form is pretty poor. Let's see. Foden to Rafinha. I don't think it's worth it because Rafinha has 2 good games and then he's got like 4 of the worst games you can possibly imagine. So no, not him. Once again, if you're looking for budget options or, around that Rafinha price, Gallagher, Bowen, Cornet, Smith Rowe, I wouldn't be going for Rafinha. And if you can help to a Gundogan or Bernardo Silva, I think they're also great. Cucurella or Livramento? Right now, Cucurella, but I probably would go for Lamptey instead. He's a bit cheaper as well. Will you be starting Vardy this week? I think it doesn't make sense to bench him, to be honest. The only problem is if he comes off the bench himself for a 1-pointer, but I think it's worth the risk because if he does start and he's on my bench, I think I'm just literally going to hide or be in hiding for a few days. Tony for Broha, or I'm not sure. I've seen the actual pronunciation. I say Brocha, but I think it's not the right pronunciation. But yeah, Tony for Brocha, so I can get Alonso for Marcel. Probably not because Brocha isn't nailed, and yeah, I probably wouldn't. Instead of going from Marcel to Alonso, maybe consider Marcel to Lamptey. I'm guessing that's Gay or Livramento, and that's what Kaylan asks. I'd go for Gay, yeah. Whom to bench? James, Alonso, Trent, Reguilon, Cancelo to start. Rafinha, I am in dilemma. I'd bench Reguilon. If you have to bench one, I'm not sure how many you have to bench there, but I'd bench Reguilon from those. Thinking of saving transfer this week and using 2 next week. Antonio is king and... Oh, Antonio is king. Antonio to king and Livramento to Cancelo. Yeah, I think that looks good. Even though Antonio's a good option long term, I think that's the right call, mate. I think that looks good. Obviously, bear in mind, you don't have to have 5 big defenders at the back. I think the best structure is having 3 or 4 kind of mid to premium priced defenders and then 1 budget option like a Ben Johnson or a Tariq Lamptey. Captaining Salah or Jota? I'm still going for Salah. He's got, better statistics. He's on penalties. And yeah, it's just Salah, to be honest. He hasn't blanked in any game since Game Week 2 against Burnley. So that's 11 straight, returns from him in the Premier League. Hello, do you think Game Week 16 Bowen for Son is good? It depends what you do with that extra money, but I think Bowen is a really good acquisition regardless. And also Game Week 18. Vardy bench for Leicester. Don't you think starting Livramento could be a cheeky choice? Yeah. I'm quietly confident if Vardy is benched, Livramento could be in for a nice little return potentially. Worth getting Cancelo in for Semedo this week or roll the transfer? You could possibly roll, but either way, get Cancelo in, no matter what, whether it's now or next week. But I think Semedo, I'm not sure if he's more likely to keep a clean sheet than City, but I can see Villa scoring, to be honest. That's my opinion. Should I take a -4 to get Alonso? It depends who you get rid of, but once again, I probably wouldn't. Tony or Reguilon? I probably would start Reguilon, but not too sure about that one. I'm not really a big fan of Spurs defence, but I think Reguilon is a decent choice because of his attacking threat. Have any Spurs players passed the eye test for you? Probably Reguilon because of his attacking threat. I think Kane has looked better in recent weeks, and the stats have kind of suggested it as well. But yeah, other than them two, not really. And even then, I'm not impressed by Kane. Let's be honest. Start Hwang or Cornet? Probably Hwang. Livramento or Mbumo? Livramento. Foden to Gundogan and Vardy to Kane. Yeah, I'd probably do that AA. Should I take a -4 to sell Vardy? I probably wouldn't. Unless it's for Kane, then maybe, but otherwise, no. Should I take a -4 in Mbumo Gray to Jota? And if so, who should I replace either with? Yeah, take a -4, get rid of Gray to Jota. I think that's what I would do. Saka and Jimenez for Jota and Benteke for free. I wouldn't get rid of Jimenez this week, though. That's the problem. I know why you're doing it, but I wouldn't. Yeah, I just don't really. I think Jimenez could outscore Benteke and even possibly Jota in Game Week 14. Vardy and Saka to Jesus and Jota for a -4. Once again with Jesus, I'm not really a big fan of him. I talked about him in a recent transfer tips video. I said he's a sell, and I'm not going to change my mind on that. Of course, I love Jota. The idea of getting Jota anyway, I don't love him, to be honest. But yeah, I probably I'd get another striker instead of Jesus. I'd even rather get a king long term and then use that extra money to upgrade someone else. Bench order: Mbumo, Smith Rowe, Livramento. Tough one. Livramento first, probably Mbumo second, Smith Rowe third. Yo, what's up, my dude? We're rocking your stream or the projector here at work. Greetings from Cyprus. What? You've got... Wow, that's flattering, mate. I mean, wow. Yeah, I didn't even know what to say to that, but obviously, thank you very much. And big up Cyprus. And wow, that's just incredible, to be honest. Tony or Trossard? This week, I'd start Trossard, yeah. Son to Gundogan and Vardy to Kane, yep. Once again, I'd go for that. McCarthy's injury has had a big impact on Gallagher. McArthur's. Yeah, that's true. That's also another thing. Not only Milivojevic coming in, but also McArthur's absence. And if you look at the heat maps and you compare them, with McArthur and without, there's a huge difference. That's a really good point. Thank you, Carl. Kane plus Norman to Wilson and Jota worth a -4. No, mate, because Kane is a great option for the next two. Wilson's only good for 2 game weeks, and ultimately I'd rather have Kane. Obviously, Jota, once again, really good move. Norman's injured, but I wouldn't take a -4 for that. Getting rid of Kane is the kind of, deal breaker for me. Should I play Tony or Mbumo? I'd play Tony. And best replacements, Mbumo to Gallagher. Yeah, obviously you don't have enough to go to Bowen, but he's another one. And also Smith Rowe's a decent choice. Cornet too. I'd look at one of those 3 for Mbumo. Son or Jota? Jota, but I wouldn't be getting rid of Son for Jota, especially for a hit this week. Vardy won't play. Rogers confirmed it. Well, he said that there's a chance of him being rested, especially midweek. And of course, he is going to be rested at some point, you would suspect. Mbumo to Gallagher, yeah, I think it's worth it. If not, you can consider Bowen or, once again, Cornet. All these options I keep talking about. Captain James, I wouldn't go there because he is a risk to play. Diaz out for Alonso on a free transfer. Then yeah, fair enough. I think it's a good transfer. But Diaz isn't a bad keep, to be fair. Even though I'm not a big fan of him because he's not as nailed as he was last year. He's always benched after an international break. Of course, at least there's no international break until March. But yeah, I just rather have Cancelo to cover City. Son can pop opposition scoring 2 to 3 goals easy with Kane. So Son will be my captain. I mean, yeah, but we've said this all season, haven't we? He hasn't done it. But yeah, I think Son and Kane are great options this week. Will Benteke start? I think if he's fit, yeah, I think he will start. King or Dennis? King, because Dennis is 1, injured, and 2, he's got African Cup of Nations soon. Ramsdale, Sanchez, Ramsdale. Also start Duffy this week for James. I don't think Duffy's going to start, mate, to be honest. And I mean, benching James, and let's say if he does start, that's just going to backfire. So it's easy for me. Start James and start Ramsdale. Would you bring Benteke in for Armstrong? Yeah, I probably would. Maybe not necessarily this week, although that's not a bad choice either. But long term, I think Benteke is better. And another one that I probably would just about edge over Benteke is Joshua King, especially with penalties now. Replace Wilson with Watkins or King after 2 weeks? King at the moment, but I am keeping an eye on Watkins too. And Captain and Jota is a good option. I think it's a decent option. I think it's a good one, yeah. I'm going for Salah myself though. Did I just see Aubameyang? Yeah. Anyone asking about Aubameyang, do not go for him, trust me. Aubameyang long term or Jesus long term? I'd rather have Jesus, to be honest. And yeah, I probably will look elsewhere over both, to be honest. Hey Dylan, my team is Ramsdale. This is from Aiden. Who should I bench and captain? I'd personally... Oh, Jesus. Voice crack? Jesus. I'd personally captain Salah or Kane. And as for benching, Douglas Luiz easily. Probably Saka. And the other one would be Ben White. Yeah. Bench order, I have White, Livramento and King. Livramento first. Maybe White second and King third. Start Tony or Rafinha. Definitely Rafinha for me. Why is no one thinking about captaining Trent or Alonso? Well, I have seen a few people actually do it. I think on Twitter, some people have done it with Alonso. With Trent, though, would you really back Trent with a clean sheet and attacking returns more so than Salah just getting an attacking return? I'm not too sure about that, but, of course it can happen. Force on getting Ronaldo anytime sooner? No, not really, because once again, is he going to play every single game during the Christmas period? Probably not. Every 2-3 days, and also there's just so many other options up front. Lukaku could be someone to consider, Harry Kane, and also you can cover United with Sancho or Bruno Fernandes in particular. So it's a hold right now, or at least it's a wait and see. If you have Ronaldo, then I would keep him, but yeah, I'm not looking to bring him in right now. Opinions on Højbjerg, great option in Sky Fantasy Football, but not in FPL. Livramento, Vardy, Duffy bench too. Duffy and Livramento bench, yeah. Is Mbuma, Manquillo to Alonso and Allen worth it? I have 2 free transfers. Yeah, I think it's worth it. Once again, though, yeah, I would only say go for it if you already have 4 good midfielders and Allen's just your kind of bench fodder 5th option. Force on Ben Johnson. I think if you're looking for someone around 4 million, he's the guy to go for. Long-term, great fixtures. I'm not a big fan of West Ham defensively, but they're still decent at times. And otherwise, if you have a bit more money, I'd possibly stretch to Lamptey if he stays fit, of course. That's the big caveat, but I do like Johnson, yeah. Captain Kane or Salah? I'd be a bit tempted by Kane, to be honest. But, I mean, have we seen enough from Kane? Probably not. But let's wait and see. Bench who? Tony, Smith Rowe, Antonio Vardy? Smith Rowe. Ramsdale or Mendy? This week, Mendy. It has to be Mendy. Alonso for Livramento or Smith Rowe for Benrahma? Alonso for Livramento, probably. But I would sell Benrahma, to be honest. Hi there, Dylan. Is Gundogan a good captaincy shout? I think he's decent. He's a good choice anyway, regardless. A great choice. But for the captaincy, I probably wouldn't go there. Who do you think is better for the next few weeks until wildcard? Gallagher or Cornet? I'd still go for Gallagher, but I do like Cornet too. Captain Trent or Jota? Probably Jota from those two. Captain Salah or Kane? Probably Kane, but I do like Salah as well. Should I get Son this game week for free? It depends who you get out, to be honest, but yeah, I think it's a decent choice. I'd rather have Kane though. And also just, instead of Son, have Jota. What are you doing about James? I'm keeping him. There's no point selling him. He's going to be back soon and he'll be fine. Unless, something else happens. Livramento or Smith Rowe? Livramento first sub. Bench Tony or Reguilon? I would bench Tony potentially, but that's a 50-50 one. It could go either way. I'm not a big fan of Spurs defensively, but Reguilon's kind of attacking threat edges it slightly. Good day, Dylan. I have to replace Tony for Alonso. And I only have 5.8 million left. Would you bring in Pookie instead of King or Dennis? Yeah, and also Dennis has AFCON next week, so it's between King or Pookie. I like Pookie more than King for the next 2 game weeks, but long term it has to be King. So if you're playing the long term game, go for King. First substitute should be Saiss or Livramento. Saiss. How about Maddison? Good choice for the next 4, but I talked about him earlier. He's kind of inconsistent. He can get you these big hauls 1 week and then blank for 5-6 game weeks in a row. If you already have Vardy, I don't see a need to double up. Of course, it could be a nice differential, but I wouldn't go there myself. I have Havertz and Aspie. Who should I sell? Tough one, isn't it? I probably would sell... If you don't have Jota, sell Havertz to Jota first, and then look to move Aspie on. Livramento or Duffy first sub? Has to be Livramento for me. Almost at 8k guys. Oh, I'm butchering the words. Thank you very much, Jack. And I actually haven't checked. Let me have a look at the subscriber count. But yeah, we were 49 subscribers away from reaching 8,000. So obviously massively appreciated. If you haven't already, consider subscribing and smashing the like button. It really helps out the channel. And yeah, it says we're on 7.98. So yeah, we've got like 30 subscribers during the stream. Any more would be massively appreciated. We just need 19 more to reach 7,000, not 7,000, 8,000. So obviously massively appreciated. First bench Duffy or Smith Rowe? I'd go for Smith Rowe. Ramsdale or Sanchez? Ramsdale. Is Allen the best 4.5 million midfielder? Honestly, I mean, Allen was the best at one point, but it's not really kind of... I'd probably say it's between Gilmour, Norman if he's fit, Allen himself, but there's not really a standout, to be honest. I might be missing someone, but yeah, I don't necessarily think he's the best. Is a 2-man bench of Livramento and Mbeumo decent if 2 or 3 of my players will likely get benched? This week, yes, but long term, I'd look to get rid of Mbeumo, to be honest. Captain Son, not a bad choice. I think him and Kane will finally do well, at least one of them. Should I get Maddison or Rafinha? Probably Maddison because he's got 4 good fixtures as opposed to 2. And yeah, Maddison could be a bit of a streaky player. And I think during Christmas last he was pretty decent. Are you playing James over Hwang? I wouldn't bench Reece James, so yes, I would. Should I replace James to Alonso or save transfer? Save the transfer. Your captains or vice captain, Son, Jota or Trent? Son. Also think about, if you're captaining Salah, what if the Liverpool game got called off? Obviously, I don't think it will. I think that's very unlikely, but I always try to think of these things as well, especially during, these kind of turbulent times in terms of the weather. One Jota this game week, but need to hit and taking one of Rafinha or Jimenez out. Yeah, I don't think it's worth it as well. I'd probably hold as well. Foden for who? Other than Jota, Gundogan or Bernardo? Definitely. I'd look at one of them. And if not, Jarabone or Gallagher. Answered that question already, Connor. Thanks, support you from Hong Kong. Thank you very much, Kelvin. And big up Hong Kong and big up yourself, Kelvin. Thank you very much. Gallagher or Hwang? I'd still start Gallagher. Hello, Dylan. Replace Foden for Gundogan -4. Yeah, I probably would do that, Ahmed. Yeah. Have any info on Saka? Strongly considering moving him on for Gundogan. To be honest, I don't really have any news that you don't know already. So I literally have no idea, to be quite frank. But yeah, either way, I think he should be fine, to be honest. But yeah, it depends on the extent of the muscle injury. I have no idea about Saka because I haven't seen anything about Arteta. If anyone does know, let me know in the live chat. But either way with Saka, whether he's fit or not, I'd sell him. That's my personal opinion on the matter. I think he's worthy. Well, he's not worthy. I think he should be sold, to be honest. That's my opinion. Thoughts on Bissouma? Yeah, he's probably one of the other better 4.5 million options, but yeah, it's just literally, we don't have too many options, do we? Pulisic as a potential Foden replacement. As a differential for 1 week, I like it a lot, but long term, I think they're just way better options, to be honest. Why Ramsdale over Sanchez? Because I think both of them will blank. I think both of them won't keep a clean sheet, and Ramsdale will possibly get more saves and bonus. Thoughts on Son captain? I think it's a decent choice. Same with Kane. So I would probably look to do it myself, if not vice captain. Afternoon, Dylan. Any transfer suggestions for Townsend? I already have Salah, Jota, Gallagher, and Brownhill. Bowen. I think Bowen would be a very good one for you. Mbuma and Benrahma to Brownhill and Jota for a -4. Worth it? Yeah, I think it's worth it. Put Mings or Alonso? Alonso, definitely. Less than an hour for the deadline, guys. Best of luck, everyone. And Dylan, hopefully, is a green arrow for everybody. Good luck. Thank you, Ninja, to you as well. Hopefully, green arrows for everyone who's watching, and all the very best of luck. And as we said before, we're 19 subscribers away from 8,000, so we could hit it on stream. If you haven't already, smash the subscribe button and the like button. Start Sanchez or Ramsdale. Ramsdale once again. James to Alonso. Yeah, but look, I think James might not start, but is it worth selling him? I don't think so. If he does, miss out, it's just 1 game week, potentially. So no, not for me. Favorite player in English football? That's a great question, actually. I'd have to think about that one, actually. Right now, I'd probably say Bernardo Silva. I really like how he plays. Yeah. Gundogan and Johnson or Reguilon and Gallagher? Tough one. That's a tough one. I'd say Reguilon and Gallagher. Foden and Vardy to Gundogan and Ronaldo for a hit. Good move. It's a decent move, actually, yeah. And long term, I think the hit will pay off. Just bear in mind with Ronaldo, he's not going to play every game. Antonio for Maximan and Tomiyasu for Alonso for a hit. I actually would rather have Antonio this week than Maximan. I'm not a big fan of Newcastle. Also, only 2 good game weeks. I mean, obviously, if you really are settled on it, then fair enough. It's still a decent hit, but I probably wouldn't. Jota or Salah captain and why? Salah captain, 1. I mean, let me not even talk about effective ownership. That's obviously a big reason for why most people do it. But I think penalties is 1, better statistics is 2, and also the consistency. Jota's nowhere near as consistent or as explosive. Salah, in terms of double-digit returns, is on another level this season. So for me, a Salah. Duffy out for Alonso or Foden out for Son? That's a tough one, mate. That's really tough. Oof, that's tough. I probably would say Foden out for Son, but I'm very, torn about that. Would you rather downgrade Tony or Mbeumo? Probably Mbeumo. If you had a strong enough bench, would you bench James? No, I wouldn't, to be honest. Rafinha, Gallagher or Tony? Need to bench 1. Yeah, Tony. Hi, Dylan. Would you transfer out James for any other better wingbacks from -4? No. For a -4 as well, no chance. Even if I'm down to 10 men, I'd rather, have that and keep James for the long term. Unless he's out for a long time, then, of course, I've made a mistake. But, hindsight's a wonderful thing. Mbeumo or Hwang? Hwang this week. Duffy and Foden out, Gundogan and Lamptey in, or Gallagher and Alonso in? Good question. I like all of the transfers, to be honest. I actually like that Gundogan and Lamptey combination. I'd go for that, but I like Gallagher and Alonso too. All look good. Will Havertz play? I think he might, yeah. But then again, I wouldn't have guessed the Chelsea lineup against United, to be honest. But I think he will. Gundogan or Bernardo for Foden? It's 50-50. I'd personally go for Bernardo right now, but in 2 weeks' time, when I make that decision to replace Rafinha, I might actually lean towards Gundogan. But right now, it's Bernardo for me. It's 50-50. So really, my answer is kind of torn, and it's not really full of confidence. I'm just being completely transparent with you. Good replacements for Abumo: Gallagher, Cornet, Bowen. If I had to rank them, it'd be Gallagher or Bowen first, and then it'll be Cornet and Smith Rowe, etc. If you have enough money, of course, the City midfielders look good. Do you think James will be benched, rested this week? If there's any risk of him being, injured, then yes. But if he's fully fit, I think they will start him. But as things stand, I'm expecting him to be benched. Why are you starting James over Tony? Because the way I see it, James will either start or not play at all. And if he doesn't play at all, Tony comes on. So I don't see a need to overcomplicate it. I'd rather, let's say for example, if James and Tony were to start, I'd rather have James in my starting 11, no doubt about it. Captain Salah or Kane? I'd be tempted to captain Kane this week, but Salah is Salah, to be honest. He's so consistent. Trend for captaincy. Salah captain at the moment. That's what it's looking like. But I think in recent weeks, it has actually been beneficial to captain someone other than Salah, but obviously you have to get it right, because some people did it with James last week or Cancelo, and it didn't really turn out right. Are you just keeping Vardy this week, even though he's probably getting benched? Well, I've already made my transfer, and yeah, I'm going to be keeping him. I don't have enough money to go from Vardy to Kane, so I don't really see a need to make another transfer for a hit for a striker that I probably don't want in the end. I don't think there's a viable alternative elsewhere. Start Gallagher or Bowen? I wouldn't bench either, to be honest, but if I had to pick, I'd probably start Gallagher, but benching Bowen against Brighton, I'm not confident about that. Tony or Livramento to start? Tony for me. Lucas Moura for next 2 weeks? Honestly, I could be wrong, but not for me. No chance. Alonso, Pukki in for Tony and Livramento? That's pretty decent, to be fair, but once again, I'd still actually rather have Tony than Pukki long term, but you know what? Overall, I think you improve your team. Alonso for Livramento will save the transfer. Have James, Cancelo and Trent? Yeah, I probably would go for it, actually, yeah. Sorry, I'm late. What's up with James? He's just got a knock, so the chances are he misses Game Week 14, but he's going to be back in Game Week 15. So is it worth a -4 to get rid of one of the best players in FPL right now? Not for me. I personally wouldn't. Is a City midfielder must-have? Not a must-have, but it's looking very beneficial and it could get you ahead of the pack. So a lot of people will not be going for City midfielders. So I think it could be worth it, to be fair. So what I personally would do, what I'm doing anyway, is in 2 game weeks' time, I'm going to see who out of Bernardo or Gundogan I actually prefer, and they could replace Rafinha. If not, it could be Jared Bowen instead. Hi Dylan, bring in Alonso for Duffy or Gundogan for Foden? Tough one. Probably still Alonso for Duffy, to be honest, yeah. Thoughts on Vardy? Should I bench him for Tony? I just start him in case. Of course, if he is benched and he comes off the bench, then that's probably going to backfire, but I am willing to take the risk. Start Smith Rowe or Tony? I'd start Tony. Hi Dylan, should I roll the transfer or get Reguilon or Dyer in for Duffy? I probably, if you don't have enough squad depth, I would get Reguilon in for Duffy. Martinez for the next 10 game weeks after the City game? Yeah, it's not too bad, but his price does put me off. I think Ramsdale still offers better value for money, and even possibly Sanchez, so not for me. But I do like their defenders as kind of cheap 4.7 to 5 million defenders in Matty Cash and Target, and also Watkins up front potentially. Is Rudiger to Alonso too sideways? I don't think it's too sideways, to be honest. Alonso's on set pieces, he takes up some very promising positions. Rudiger has that aerial threat, and he is just a big danger from set pieces, but I don't think it's sideways. I think it's worth the transfer. But in terms of who's more nailed, right now, you could possibly say Alonso, but I'm not too sure. Is there any point doing Saka to Gallagher? I think so. I think there is a point. Saka is still a doubt for the game on Thursday. I think he'll be fine, but I think Gallagher's also a better option regardless, even with the problems of Eze, MacArthur being out, and also Milivojevic being in the side. Hi mate, I still have Aspie. Should I keep him this week or switch him for Alonso? I probably would switch to Alonso, yeah. Who to put first sub? Smith Rowe, Ben Johnson. Tough, but I'd probably go with Ben Johnson. Adam Armstrong or Trossard. That's tough. I like both this week, actually. Not a lot, but I like them both. They're not bad to come off the bench or whatever, but I probably would start Armstrong. Captain Vardy, no, because there's a risk of him being benched. That's why I'm not going for it in the end. Smith Rowe over Mbeumo to start. I would start Mbeumo personally, but that's kind of a 50-50 one. Mbeumo's been that bad that I actually would consider Smith Rowe instead. Should I switch Foden for Mount as a 1 week punt? Not for me. I don't like these 1 week punts too much because it can still backfire, and you really need him to deliver in that game and do what he did against Norwich, really. Even then, just the goal will do for you, I guess, but I probably wouldn't. Force on Jesus, the same as a few weeks ago. Obviously, he's a really good player when he starts, or at least a really good option. He can get assists. He's been overperforming his stats in terms of creativity, but still getting the assists nonetheless. He's a decent goal threat, but I wouldn't go there. I think there are better options. Antonio, Calvert-Lewin when he comes back, Bamford, the premium strikers we always go on about, King, Benteke potentially, so not for me. McCarthy or Ramsdale? Ramsdale still for me. Is Rico Henry starting? I think so, but once again, I'm not really a big fan of Rico Henry or anything, especially with the fixture he has now. I think Spurs should score 2 goals at least. Tierney and Sarr for Alonso and Bowen. Yeah, I think that looks good. That's a great set of transfers, JR. I'd do it. Rudiger to Alonso or roll? I think you could possibly roll and then reevaluate and see what you can do with 2 free transfers, but it's not a bad move. It's not even sideways. Reguilon and Gundogan for Livramento and Foden -4. Yeah, I probably would do it. Yeah. Just got James, have Foden in my team as well. What should I do? I would keep James. Don't sell him. Don't, get James in then sell him. I think that's the wrong call. You did the right decision getting James in. As for Foden, maybe sell him for Jota if you don't have him already, even for a hit. I think that's fine. Jota captain, it's not out of the realms. I think it's still a decent choice, but I'd rather go for Salah. Antonio Gallagher or Rafinha? If I had to pick one, that's tough, but I would probably go for Antonio. Yeah, then it's between Rafinha and Gallagher. Maybe I'd put Rafinha ahead. What do you think about Jimenez as an Antonio replacement? No chance, because he's only got 1 good game week left. He'll probably outscore him in game week 14, but long term, the fixtures are... No, not for me. Walker to Cancelo, Livramento to Alonso. Walker to Cancelo, Mohamed. I'm confused. Sissoko and Vardy to Jota and Jesus, or Mbeumo and Smith Rowe to Jota and Cornet. For me, Mbeumo and Smith Rowe to Jota and Cornet. I can see why you'd want to do Vardy out, and that makes sense, and maybe it's the right call, but I don't think Jesus is necessarily the answer. So maybe what you could do instead of Jesus, you can make the other transfer instead, get Jota and maybe King, for example. Long term, that could put you in a good place and give you enough money to improve the rest of your squad, Sahindra. Would you do Mbeumo to Gallagher or Rudiger to Alonso? Mbeumo to Gallagher, definitely. Play 2 of Gallagher, Semedo, Adam Armstrong, Tony. This is fan team. Okay. I'm not really too accustomed to fan team if I'm being completely honest, but I would play Gallagher and possibly Semedo. Yeah, answered this already, Mohammed. There's no need to spam the chat. Should I get in Alonso from -4? It depends who you get out, but probably not. It's not a bad hit though, but I probably wouldn't in my case. Who to bench from Smith Rowe, Benrahma, Tony, Antonio? Smith Rowe, yeah. I can start 2 out of Gallagher, Bowen and Hwang. I'd start Gallagher and Bowen. Saka to Gundogan or Gallagher? Ooh, now that's tough. I probably would say Gundogan. Hey Dylan, who to start, Mbeumo or Armstrong? I'd start Armstrong. Antonio to Benteke? I wouldn't do that. Not right now. If anything, do it maybe next week, but not ahead of Brighton. I think Antonio could do well. Captain Kane over Salah? I think it's worth it, yeah. It's worth the risk. Just, once again, we haven't seen enough from Kane, so it's very risky. But, yeah, I would consider it, to be honest. Jesus blanking for 4 weeks now. Keep the faithful, get rid. He's been very unfortunate, goal line clearances against West Ham, and, being on the bench, etc. But I just don't like Jesus that much as an option because he's just never nailed. So I would probably look to get rid, to be honest. Start Foden or leave him on the bench. If you have Foden and you keep him, I'd start him, just in case. Mbeumo to Bowen. Yeah. If not, Gallagher. And also, if you want someone for the short term, Maddison, also someone else to consider. But I'd mainly be looking at those 2. What's your best game week rank ever? I'll be honest, I'm not too sure. I'm guessing it's in the top 50k, maybe even... am I even going too high? I'm not sure. Maybe even top 20k, I'm not sure. I need to check that. But game week rank, Yeah, I've had some good weeks, but yeah, not too sure. Did Pep say anything on Foden in press conference? Let me know if anyone has seen it, but I haven't actually seen it myself. But yeah, I think he's still a doubt. I think it's the match fitness mainly. Yeah, with Foden, it's just these kind of injury doubts. Just let's put it this way: he's been an injury doubt for like 1 or 2 weeks now, and he's still not really up to full match fitness. So maybe he gets a start, gets 60, 70 minutes, then comes off. But ultimately, you'd probably think his fitness will be built up right up again. And is he going to start every single game? Well, even less likely with him than Gundogan or Bernardo. So I'd look to sell, to be honest, if you can. Start Smith Rowe, King or Tony? Tony, probably. Is Rafinha to Maddison a good move this game week? I'll probably hold. I probably would hold. And then look to get a long-term replacement for Rafinha in game week 16. Foden to Maddison, I think that's good, to be fair. Any replacement for Antonio in the coming weeks? King or Benteke. Otherwise, you're looking at Calvert-Lewin and Bamford when they come back. Thoughts on Bowen after these bad fixtures are over? Yeah, definitely. Game week 16 or 18, he can come in for Rafinha for me. I think he's a good option. 1 free transfer, 0.2 million in the bank. Would you go Rudiger to Alonso? Yeah. If not, you could hold and have 2 free transfers next week. Thoughts on Bernardo or Mount? Definitely Bernardo. If not Gundogan. Both of them over Mount. Wilson over Vardy? No, not worth it for me. St-Maximin or Vardy? Vardy, even with him being benched today potentially. Foden to Maddison, good move, or Gundogan Silva? I'd rather go for Gundogan or Silva, to be honest. Should I take a -4 to get Foden out then, since James looks like a doubt? If it's for Jota, then yes, I would. Start Ben White or Williams? Maybe I'm being a bit too harsh on Arsenal, but maybe Williams. I'm not too sure about that one though. I'm of the opinion that both will blank. What do you think of Dennis? I like him as an option, and of course he's been doing so well. He's got, I think, the second most goal contributions behind Salah, 5 goals, 6 assists. The problem is he's injured. He's probably going to be out for game week 14. He then faces Man City, who Watford tend to, lose like 6, 7, 8-0 to. And then you have the African Cup of Nations, so I'd rather go for King. Start Broca or Mbumo? If you're confident of Broca starting, I'd go for him, but otherwise it's Mbumo. Is Hudson-Odoi an option? He is, but I think there are better options elsewhere. Take a hit for Livramento to Lamptey? No, not for a hit. Sell Zaha or Rafinha? I'd sell Zaha. And to replace him, either Gallagher, Bowen, or I'd look to Gundogan or Bernardo Silva. If you have enough money, I'd go to Gundogan or Bernardo. Hi Dylan, what's the move and how are you? I'm good, Adil. Hopefully you are too. I've just made one move. Townsend finally out for Gallagher. Son or Jota? I already have Son and I'll lose 4 points for Jota. I wouldn't take a hit to get rid of Son for Jota. Cornet or Gallagher? Gallagher for me. I like Cornet though. Tony to St-Maximin, good move. It's a decent move for the next 2, but I would rather go for Wilson, and honestly, I probably would just keep Tony. Maddison, Callum Hudson-Odoi or Gallagher as Mbumo replacement. Long term is Gallagher. Over the next 4, it has to be Maddison for me. Aspie surely gets to start this week. Potentially. I think that's what could happen with Aspie. Reece James gets the rest here. He's got a knock anyway. Azpilicueta starts, and then Reece James starts against West Ham. Start Tony or Armstrong? I would start Armstrong. I think Leicester are poor defensively. Armstrong could cause some problems. At least Southampton had 3 big chances against Liverpool. They should have scored at least 1. I would go for that. Zaha to Maddison, I think that's decent. I would rather have Gundogan, Bernardo Silva, Bowen, Gallagher long term, but I think it's probably worth it. Hey Dylan, been very busy lately. Hope it's going well. Should I sell Foden for Jota or Bernardo? I'd still go for Jota, mate. I mean, obviously, it's up to you. If you are leaning towards City attack, then go for Bernardo or Gundogan, but I probably would go for Jota. Should I get James in this week or wait a week? I wouldn't get James in this week because he's a doubt, but maybe wait till next week. If he was fit, then I definitely would recommend him this week. Of course, he still can be, by the way, but there's a doubt. Do you think Aspie will start this week? If James is, injured, then I think definitely Azpilicueta will take his place. Let's see what that late test says with James. If I can go from Vardy to either Kane or Ronaldo for a hit, do I do it? And if I do, who should I go for? I probably would still go for Kane. Long term, Ronaldo might arguably be the better option, but I probably would still rather have Kane right now. After Alonso, what's the next best defender to bring in this week if I've already got James, Cancelo and Trent? Is it Reguilon, and why isn't he being talked about as much? I think Rudiger, still. Rudiger, Diaz, then it's probably Reguilon. And other than that, it's probably Lamptey at the kind of cheaper bracket. Why isn't Reguilon being talked about enough? Because he plays for Spurs, if we're being completely honest. And also, they're not great defensively. And you look at Chelsea, City and Liverpool, they're on another level to every other team in the league by, we're talking about miles ahead of the rest, especially defensively. So that's why. I can't get Jota. What's the second best option to replace Foden with? Gundogan or Bernardo, either one of them. And otherwise, you can look at someone cheaper, like a Gallagher or Bowen. Any of those will be fine. How come you would rather bench Smith Rowe than Tony? Because I think Tony, one, he has penalties. That's already a big advantage. Two, obviously Smith Rowe was unlucky against, in our last game against Newcastle to not return. But I think against United, it will be a tight game. If Arsenal do score or if they do win, it's going to be very narrow. It could be like a 2-1 or 1-0. If not, it will be like a draw, 1-1 or 0-0. And I just don't really see a place for Smith Rowe getting a big haul. I think Tony has more... he has a higher ceiling. Just with one goal from a penalty, he could get 2 to 3 bonus points. I think Spurs will win the game, but I think if Brentford do score, Tony has a much higher chance of contributing to that than Smith Rowe does with Arsenal scoring. Of course, I could be wrong. Football's unpredictable. That's why you never know what's going to happen. But I would personally play the odds and go for Tony. It's a tough one though. I don't think it's completely it's a no-brainer, but I probably would do that. If Smith Rowe was at home, then maybe I'd reconsider. But at Old Trafford, Arsenal always struggle there. Son or Jota? Jota, mate. But if you already have Son, just keep him. There's no need to, take a hit just because I prefer Jota. Good evening, mate. Is it the right time to wildcard? It's a team-dependent question, to be honest, but I think either now, maybe even Gameweek 15 or 16. If I had my wildcard, let's, kind of ignore the players I have right now. If I was, one to wildcard, I would maybe be targeting Gameweek 15 or 16. What about Jota as a captaincy? Fine captaincy option. I just prefer Salah for the reasons already explained. Rafinha at home or Gallagher away? Only for this game. It's 50-50 to be honest. Maybe Rafinha, just about, but I'm not too sure about that one. What did Tuchel say about James and other players? He basically said about James that he has a knock and he's going to have a late test, same with Jorginho, to see if they can actually be fit and available against Watford. But we can't say anything concrete until we know what the results of that test is. And to be honest, we probably won't know until the day that the lineup is out. And also, do you think Vardy will be rested? Yeah, I think he will be. Thanks. Also, what do you think about investing in upgrading bench players over Christmas? I think it's important. I'd want to have at least 2 good bench players. I don't think Livramento alone is enough, especially with the fixtures coming up for Southampton. Need suggestion? I have Trent, Cancelo, James, Ben White, Livramento, Salah, Rafinha, Jota, ESR, Norman, Kane, Tony, Antonio, 2 free transfers and 0.8 million. Okay, so I think in Game Week 16 onwards, Durgesh, I would look to replace Rafinha with probably Bowen. If not, Gundogan or Bernardo Silva. So one of those 3 names, that's already immediately off the bat. I'm not sure who your keepers are, but if you already have Ramsdale, you could maybe get rid of Ben White for Lamptey. But honestly, if that's not the case, and to be honest, I think Ben White is probably a better option than Livramento at the moment. I think Livramento to Lamptey makes sense. So those are the kind of 2 transfers I'd look at. If Norman is out for a long time, you could also get rid of him for another bench fodder option. But yeah, that's what I'd look at, to be honest. Mendy or Ramsdale? Mendy this week. Hi Dylan, would you start Livramento or Smith Rowe? I'd start Livramento. Do you think Johnson will start for West Ham? Yep, he made a goal line clearance against City, and I think it's his place to lose. Will he start every single game? Maybe not. And what could happen is because they have a really important game against Chelsea, if Johnson's still first choice, it could be Soufal coming in against Brighton, and then Ben Johnson, regains his spot against Chelsea. Gundogan paid me 13 points. Yeah, fair play. Gundogan was pretty poor for most of the season in terms of FPL, but he's now finally starting to prove his worth again. One more question about who to start in Mbeumo or Smith Rowe. In Mbeumo personally, but I'm not too sure about that one. If it was Tony or Smith Rowe, I'd probably be definitely leaning towards Tony, but this one I'm a bit kind of unsure about. 1, 2, 3 for bench. Dennis, Livramento, Brownhill. Livramento first, Dennis second, Brownhill third. Dennis is probably injured anyway. Thank you, S. Pontefract. Start 2 from Mbeumo, White, Livramento, Williams. I would start Livramento and possibly Williams, actually. Hi, mate. Start Hwang or Smith Rowe? I'd start Hwang. I'd play the fixture Perky. I have Salah as captain. Who to vice captain from Jota, Vardy, Gallagher, Cancelo, Bernardo, Trent, Saint-Maximin. Normally, I'd say Vardy. But because there is a risk of him being benched, it's tough, isn't it? Maybe risk it and go for Jota vice captain, but obviously that could maybe backfire. Cancelo as captain, what do you think, Dylan? It's not a bad choice, but I think Villa will score. So his ceiling is a bit reduced. Going to roll this week, then go Diaz to Trent and Jimenez to King and bench King against City. Yeah, fair enough, that makes sense. Once again, Jimenez, I think could do very well this week. Bring in Alisson. Yeah, I wouldn't get Alisson in an FPL, definitely not. Is Reece James not injured? He has a knock. He still has a chance of playing. But, you know, even if he misses out, I mean, what's the point of getting rid of him, especially for a hit? I just don't see it, to be honest. Big question, should I free hit because of the big teams facing small teams? I probably wouldn't. I'd save it for a blank or double game week. And some blanks are confirmed for game weeks 24 and 25 for Chelsea, for example. 4.5 million best defender for this week only. All right, let's have a look at the fixtures once again to remind ourselves. But 4.5 million defender here. That's tough. Maybe Dyer against Brentford, potentially. Other than that, maybe one of the Wolves players. I think Kilman's 4.5. 8 Nuri. I'd like 8 Nuri a lot. Yeah, maybe 8 Nuri, Dyer, etc. Those are the sorts of options I look at around 4.5, of course. Newcastle Norwich you could maybe target as well, but I'm not a big fan of either team, especially defensively. Would you play Mbeumo over Tony, Jimenez or Antonio? No, I wouldn't. Oh yeah, I already answered that. Should I bring in Cornet for Mbeumo? I think it's worth it, yeah. Adil put his team out. I have 2 free transfers. Who are the priorities? Yeah, your team is decent. I think you have to target your weaknesses. It's not necessarily about who you need to get in because your team is fairly set. I think personally, Mbeumo and Saka are your weaknesses. So I would look to sell both of them, and I'd look to get Saka out for Gallagher, and possibly Mbeumo to Smith Rowe or Cornet. That's what I'd look to do in your situation. I'm not sure how much money you have. If you do have a lot of money in your bank, you could, instead of getting Smith Rowe or Cornet or Bowen, he's another one, I'd probably prefer him over the other two, I look to get Gundogan or Bernardo. Saint-Maximin play or not? He will play. Would I bring him in? Probably not. Thank you 101 Toz. Should I keep Foden or change to Maddison or Bernardo? I'd probably sell him, and I'd probably get Bernardo or Gundogan in. Ronaldo out for Wilson, Jota and Cancelo for a -4. I mean, Ronaldo is someone that a lot of people are looking to bring in soon, so it's a bit of an odd time to get rid of him. I probably wouldn't, honestly. Obviously, I love Cancelo as an asset, and he is worth a hit even, but Wilson for a hit, no. Jota, of course, is a great choice. If you need to get rid of Ronaldo to get those 3 players in, then go for it, even for the hit. I'm just not too sure about Wilson, especially, long term. First bench, Smith Rowe and Mbeumo for me, but I'm not really too sure about that. You could just go for Smith Rowe. Start Tony or Smith Rowe, Tony. Force on Lucas Moura, just not worth it, I think. He could get the occasional haul, but it's between Son, Kane and Reguilon, Emerson Real, to kind of fill up your Spurs assets. Not for me. Vardy to Lukaku, thoughts? I think if Lukaku starts against Watford, that could look like a really good decision, and honestly, that looks pretty good, to be fair. The only problem I have is that Lukaku has just come back from an injury, so it could backfire. So it's a risky transfer, but could pay off. Reguilon in, Livramento out, that looks pretty good. Messi Monkey, is this a good hit, and what will you do? I'm not sure who you got in for the hit, to be honest, but it looks like a good team. You have good squad depth. Long term, I don't like Jorginho. He is an injured out as well this week. I definitely sell Jorginho. He's not really going to offer you much apart from penalties. I look to probably sell Jesus as well. The rest looks good. Obviously, bear in mind, Jose Sa has poor fixtures from now on. Defense is very good. Midfield is also solid other than Jorginho. So yeah, Jorginho, Jesus and Jose Sa are the ones I'd be looking to get rid of. Possibly even Armstrong. But yeah, the rest looks fine. Foden replacements, other than Jota, is Gundogan or Bernardo Silva. And also Jarrod Bowen and Gallagher. Can you give suggestions, Dylan, in this game week? Who can be captain if I want to push my overall? This is the thing, though. A lot of people always have this, you could arguably say, misconception of, if I'm in a bad rank or I, want to be aggressive, I need to captain someone other than Salah. But the opposite can also be said, because let's say, for example, against United, when Salah scored, was it a hat-trick? If you, for example, you're like, you know what, I want to beat differential this week and that will push me up the ranks, but you captain someone else and, maybe they do all right, but then you see Salah with that ownership and then also scoring a hat-trick, it's just going to backfire. So I don't think necessarily you always have to go for the differential captain, even if you're not in a good rank. But if you are looking for a differential captain, I probably would look at Kane or Son. And even then, it's not necessarily a differential captain as such, but it could push your overall up, especially if Salah does poorly. Start Smith Rowe or Johnson. I would start Johnson potentially. Any Vardy replacements, I think Kane, Ronaldo, Lukaku. But just bear in mind there are kind of pros and cons to all of them. Captain Rudiger or Trent Alexander-Arnold. I'd rather captain Trent, to be honest, despite the fixture. Livramento or Mbumo? Livramento. Should I get rid of Kane for Ronaldo? I'd probably keep Kane, to be honest. Ramsdale, Trent, Rudiger, Gabriel, James. James injured. He is a doubt. He's got a knock. There's going to be a late test, so he does have a little injury, but it might not be that serious, to be honest. Sup, mate? Smith Rowe or do? Not sure what you mean by that. ¿Qué opinas de tener Ramsdale y Bowen? Oh no, y Smith Rowe. No es muy arriesgado contra el United. Aguante Boca. Oh no, Boca, really? I'm not even going to diss Boca at the moment. But as for Ramsdale Rowe, I don't mind Ramsdale, but Smith Rowe, if I had him, I'd look to bench him, to be honest. And yeah, I'm not too confident. I don't think United are a great team, to be honest. Let me be quite frank, but I think they will start bouncing back, and I wouldn't want double Arsenal against them. Rafinha to Maddison and Diaz to Alonso for a -4. I would just do Diaz to Alonso, if anything. I wouldn't do Rafinha to Maddison, especially for a -4. Who should I sell Saka for, Rafinha or Gallagher? I like Rafinha, but he's not a good option long term, so it has to be Gallagher from those two. First bench, Mbumo or Hwang? Definitely Hwang. I'm going to captain that Mohamed guy. Yeah, I think a lot of people are, to be honest, but some people are just tired of doing that. Start Reguilon or Tony, Armstrong, Livramento. It's a tough one. I'd be tempted to start Armstrong or even Livramento or Tony, but you know what? I'd actually start Armstrong, personally. What about Chalobah? Decent choice, but reminds me of Zuma last year. And honestly, when you have Reece James, Alonso, Ben Chilwell when he's back, Rudiger, I'd rather go for them. Yeah, 10 minutes for the deadline and now 9 minutes, soon to be 8. Ramsdale, Trent, James, Gabriel, Rudiger, Smith Rowe. Wilson captain. Wow, there's a lot of differentials in there, Edis. Salah Mane looks very good for you, fair play, and that's doing the business for you. I don't like Gabriel, to be honest, as an FPL asset. Obviously, he has been doing all right, especially with bonus points recently, but yeah, and Højbjerg is the big weakness in your team, I think. And Wilson in a few game weeks, maybe look to move him on, but for now, obviously I wouldn't sell him now. Hwang or Tony? This week Hwang, long-term Tony. Captaining Arnold, not for me, but he is a decent choice. Jota and Mbumo? Oh, come on, you know the answer to that question. It's Jota. My team: Sarr, Trent, Semedo, Duffy, Rudiger, Cancelo, Salah, Mbumo, Rafinha, Jota, Vardy, Antonio. 0.92 free transfers. Any transfer suggestions? Yeah, Mbumo to Bowen or Gallagher, definitely. In 2 game weeks' time, you can then get the other midfielder I just said for Rafinha, and Duffy to Livramento, and also Semedo is another one you can look to get rid of if you do have enough money left after you make your moves, whatever they may be. I look to do Semedo up to James when he's fit. Yeah, and Sarr's another one that, yeah, I mean, when you have a free transfer, it's not a priority, but when you do have a free transfer, I look to sell him for Ramsdale potentially, or Sanchez. Kane out for Werner or Lukaku, or keep? Keep, definitely. Any team news out, Dylan? No team news as far as I'm aware. There might be something on Twitter, but I'm not able to check Twitter at the moment. Should I bring in De Gea for Jose Sarr? Honestly, I'd rather have Sanchez or Ramsdale, with Ramsdale being my preference. I don't trust United defensively. Of course, the fixture run is very good, and that's what you're targeting, but I probably would just wait and see before getting De Gea in. I'd prefer others. Hey Dylan, Ramsdale, Trent, Cancelo, future transfer suggestions. Mbumo is a risk, or is not a good player to have. So in terms of transfers, I think the Norwich defender Omar Bamidele, I just butchered that, but yeah, I'd move him on to Ben Johnson or Lamptey. Then Rafinha in game week 16 or 18, you can move him on to Bowen, and Mbumo to Gallagher. I think that looks good, and then you can start, with the extra money you have, you can then maybe move Vardy on, etc. Thank you, Trenard. What strikers would you suggest bringing in? I've got 8 million. Joshua King, I think long term is probably looking like the best one. Townsend to who with 1.2 million in the bank. Already have Gallagher. Has to be Bowen for me. I was in the exact same situation as you. I think I had 6.9 million to spend, if anything. And yeah, if you can't get Gundogan or Bernardo Silva, it has to be Bowen for me. Should I put Vardy and take out Kane? I would not take out Kane for Vardy, especially when Vardy is a risk of being benched. First bench, Livramento or Williams or Norwich? Livramento. Start Hwang or Tony? Hwang. What to do with Foden? I'd sell. Is Trent a good differential captain? I think he is, but I wouldn't go there myself. Vardy for Kane? No. Use triple captain or not? I wouldn't use it this week. I don't think it's a good time. Should I get rid of Jesus and Smith Rowe? I probably would, yeah, if you can. Reguilon to Alonso or hold? Already have James. I'd rather have Alonso, but you could just hold for the next few game weeks. Alonso or Reguilon? Alonso. Wilson on 4 yellow cards or Benteke or Saint-Maximin? Long-term Benteke, and if you want someone even better, in my opinion, it's Joshua King. Chill to Alonso -4 or play Mbumo? I probably would take the hit for Alonso. Best 4.8 million defender for long-term? Probably just Lamptey, if he remains fit. Hi, is James injured? He's got a knock. There's going to be a late test. Let's wait and see. We don't know anything for sure, but there is a chance Aspilicueta plays against Watford and then James comes back against West Ham. Vardy for Kane? No, mate. There's no need to spam the chat. And I encourage any moderators to moderate the chat as well and prevent spamming. Tony or Smith Rowe? Tony. Yeah. Son or Jota? Jota, but I wouldn't sell Son for Jota. Should I do Diaz to Alonso? I probably would, but Diaz is not a bad hold to be fair. Zaha to Gundogan or roll? I would do it to Gundogan, yeah. Foden to bench? If I had Foden still, I would just play him in case. Should I play Diaz or Mbumo? Diaz, mate. I play Diaz. Say yes or no, Captain Kane for Salah. I mean, it's up to you. I said I would, if I had Kane, I would actually be very tempted to captain him. And I said to other people that, yeah, maybe it's the better option this week on paper. But I'm not going to take responsibility for that, you know, whether it goes right or wrong for you. And it's ultimately up to you. Who's your captain this game week? Is Salah. It's on screen right now. Start Foden or Semedo? Dan. Wow, I've never been called Dan before. I would start Foden just in case, but chances are he's not going to play and Semedo comes in anyway. Would you bring in Gundogan for Foden for a -4? I probably would, Tahir, yeah. Yeah, Nigel, I think you put your team up earlier already. Hwang is the kind of main guy I'd be looking... I mean, you've got a kind of forward problem here because Dennis is out. He's out for Game Week 14 potentially and maybe beyond. Then you have Hwang who... Yeah, you look at Hwang and the fixtures from Game Week 14 are awful. So I think you have to address your striker situation. I'd maybe look to get King or Benteke in for Hwang. Rafinha or Gallagher? Gallagher, because long term he's better. For this game week, I'd prefer Rafinha. Wilson or Antonio? Still Antonio for me. Obviously, this week Wilson could outscore him, but long term, Antonio's the better option. Cheers, I already have King. Yeah, I mean, that's a very good acquisition. I never expected King to be, you know, in our thoughts. Thanks for the help. You've been helping me every week, UC on FPL. Thank you, Messi Monkey, and just my suggestions. Obviously, I could be wrong as well about this, but thank you for tuning in. Sidesh says, yeah, so he puts his team. Any suggestions? Bench order. Bench order, Livramento first, Smith Rowe second, Brownhill third, just as you put it. And Hwang, Game Week 14 onwards, or should I say Game Week 15 onwards, I'd look to sell him. Other than that, your team looks fine for now. But Hwang from Game Week 15 onwards, sell him for King, potentially. Lo Celso or Ronaldo? Lo Celso, to be honest. Tony or Trossard? I would go for Trossard this week. James, Vardy, Smith Rowe, Mbumo, which two should I start? I'm not sure about the Tony Trossard one, by the way. Just start James and Vardy just in case, mate. I wouldn't bench him. Maddison or Mbumo? Maddison. Bench one. Cornet, Benteke or James? I would bench potentially Benteke, but I'm not sure about that one. It's between Cornet and Benteke. If I had to pick one, possibly Cornet. I'm not sure about that one though. Thank you in advance. Who to captain, Son or Salah? I'd still go for Salah out of them two, but ironically, I'd probably would consider Kane over Salah. Jota captain or Salah? Salah for me. Salah's a must for captaincy. Removed the captaincy for one game versus City and I regretted it. Yeah, then again though, you know, it just takes one moment of, you know, a penalty or a moment of magic. But yeah, I just think with Vardy and, you know, James and all these other doubts hanging around, that's why I've ultimately gone for Salah. And I mean, we've only got 1 minute left, just seconds left for the deadline. And ultimately, I've made one free transfer, just for anyone who hasn't seen already. Townsend out for Gallagher. Despite my reservations about Gallagher and, you know, MacArthur being out, Milivojevic being in, and also, what else was I going to say? Eze being back into the mix and potentially pushing Gallagher into a deeper position. But I like my goalkeepers. Obviously, Foster's going to be out for a long time. Watford have a lot of injuries. Reece James, speaking of Watford, he could be out for that game. But we're going to see with that late test. I'm happy with this team overall, but of course, Vardy could be benched, and that's where I need my bench to come into play. Tony and Livramento coming in for James and Vardy isn't the worst in the world, but of course, I'd rather James and Vardy started, to be fair. But my vice-captain, I think I'm going to go with Alonso because of the doubts surrounding Vardy starting, and James because of his fitness, and Salah captaincy I think is just simple. You could always vice-captain a Trent or a Jota or even captain them, but I think there's always a risk. If a game is suspended and you captain and vice-captain a player from the same team, it can always backfire. But yeah, I don't expect a cancellation there with that game. Bench one, Cornet, Benteke or James. Oh yeah, I said already I would have benched Cornet probably. Very tough. KDB coming back soon. I'm still not in my thoughts for FPL. He just doesn't look the same. But yeah, he should be back fairly soon. It's just COVID. I say just COVID, but yeah, he's going to be back by Game Week 15, you'd suspect, or Game Week 16, but he'll be out for Game Week 14, I believe. Rice or Tony? Tony. Should I start Hwang or Tony? Hwang. Thoughts on Bowen and Gundogan for Rafinha and Gallagher? Looks pretty good, to be fair, but I don't see a need for it. Maybe in 2 Game Weeks' time. Yeah, I agree, Ali. My captain is Cancelo. Hopefully it pays off for you. I think Villa will score. That's why I haven't gone for it myself, but I hope it goes right for you, and he does really well. Midfielders Salah, Son, and Mbeumo, Rafinha looks good. Game Week 16 onwards, you can replace Rafinha with Bowen, and Mbeumo to Gallagher looks good as well. Went for Bowen instead of Gallagher. Hope it's going to pay off. Yeah, I think Bowen long term could be the better option, but I'm looking to get him in anyway for Rafinha. If not, it'll be the City midfielders coming in. Good luck. Thank you, Messi Monkey, for tuning in. Somehow ended up with a bench of Livramento, Gilmore, and Manquillo. What order should I replace them? Well, the deadline has already passed, but if I were to do it, it'd be the same order that you've done it. Livramento, Gilmore, Manquillo. Thanks, Dylan, for your help. Good luck for Game Week 14. Good luck to you as well, Sudindra. Good luck. McGinn out, Gundogan in. Yes, I would do that. Deadline, yeah, the deadline has passed. Next week, Jimenez replacement, 2 million in the bank. If you don't have Antonio already, I mean, it's not a good time to get him in when he faces Chelsea, but I probably would be looking at King, actually. King or Benteke, with King being my top pick. I have Sarr as a goalkeeper. Is it time to transfer him out? Yeah, I think it is. If yes, who would you pick? Ramsdale or Sanchez, with Ramsdale being my top pick because Ramsdale offers the better value for money. When he doesn't keep a clean sheet, he can get save points and bonus. I've benched Cornet. Yeah, fair enough. I'm a bit apprehensive about that, but it might be the right call, at least on paper. Good luck to you as well, Matic. Thank you very much. Was kind of close to keeping Kane captain, then I realised I wasn't. I won a good rank. I mean, you never know though. But yeah, ultimately just captain the player you think is going to get the most points, regardless of effective ownership and all this. I just always bring that into the argument, just just in case, because some people think, oh, I need to captain someone else other than Salah to get a good rank or to push up the ranks because I'm not doing that well. But it doesn't always work that way, in my opinion. Brought Joelinton last minute for Hwang Jota. Will it pay off? Will it pay off? I hope it does pay off for you, mate. But yeah, I'm not a big fan of Newcastle, to be honest. But good luck, mate. KDB is negative now. Even though KDB is the best midfielder for FPL, he's a no. Alright, fair enough, yeah. Yeah, he's a no for me anyway, whether he's fully fit or whatever. If he starts to, look really good, then I would reconsider, of course. You have to be open-minded, but not for me. Jesus should be in there, I think. I think he's a decent option when he starts. The problem is he doesn't start that often, or, he's just not a reliable option in FPL, unfortunately, because he doesn't get the minutes sometimes. Green arrows all round. Hopefully, El Padrino. Good to see you here, by the way. Long time no see. Should I have kept James in my team? I think so, personally. It's not necessarily you being, it's not necessarily going to actually, backfire this week, but long term, you want to get him back. Not having Trent has massively done me over the past 4 weeks. I'm not in a great position to get him either. And now he's 8 million. I think I'll be going without him. Extremely scary. Yeah, I look to get him in soon, but yeah. Trent, though, to be fair, there was at one point at the beginning of the season where people were saying, you don't really need Trent, though, do you? And they were talking about Ben Ram and all these other options. I don't know if you remember that. And that's why, things can change quickly. In a few weeks' time, it could be the premium forwards that are doing really well, and there you need to downgrade a Trent or someone else to, get them in. Salah captaincy locked. Antonio Weiss. I was thinking of Antonio Weiss. In the end, I went with Alonso. Yes, but when he's on, they don't lose. It says back to the bones. No, I agree. I think Jesus should start most games for City, and he's a good option for them. The problem is, and looking at FPL anyway, you need someone, especially around 8 million, 9 million, to start most weeks and to be reliable, consistent returners. And when you have Antonio, Calvert-Lewin, Bamford, when they're all back and fully fit, then you have the cheap options like King, you have the premium forwards like Lukaku, Vardy, Ronaldo, Kane. I just don't really see a place for him at the moment. And also you can cover City midfield or attack with Bernardo Silva, Gundogan, Foden when he's fit. Did Vardy and Brownhill to Saint-Maximin and Jota. I hope it pays off for you. Jota's a really good move. Not too sure about Saint-Maximin, but once again, it is a good fixture and also in game week 15. Bought Joelinton last minute for Hwang. Let's see. Yeah. Hopefully it pays off for you as well. I think I saw someone else say that. Unless... Oh, no. Yeah, you said it earlier. Townsend to Jota. Fantastic move. Yeah. I've seen some people do that. Yeah. I think that's a really good move, to be honest. I did Foden to Maddison. Good move. Yeah, I think so over the next 4. I'd rather have someone longer term like Gundogan or Bernardo, but it could actually turn out really nicely for you. I remember that's when I had him. I think it was an injury that made me get rid. Yeah, exactly. Sometimes it's a bit of bad luck. You can always point towards these kind of situations, you know, at one point of the season, and things can change very quickly. So that's why when you're playing your wild card, sometimes it's important to wait, 8 to 10 game weeks to have more data and, have the most information possible. Bench 1, Saint-Maximin or Rodrigo? Probably Rodrigo this week. Is Benteke a good shout? Yeah, I think so. He's a decent shout. But I'm just... With Benteke, he's more of a longer-term option rather than, I think he's going to do really well this week in particular. I put Jesus this week. Hope he starts, assuming it's not a major team. Yeah, but he should start anyway, even if they're playing against a top team or whatever. But either way, Villa is a tough team. So, they're not a major team. They're not a huge club. But, they're still a tough team. Trent captain, 12-pointer incoming. I hope so, for both of our sakes. And yeah, Trent could be a nice differential there. Who to play? Duffy versus Livramento versus Hwang. I mean, the deadline has passed, but for game week 14, I would have started Hwang, then Livramento, then Duffy. I don't think Duffy will even start, to be honest. Benched Foden, but then have James and Vardy in my 11. Yeah, I wouldn't have benched those for Foden. Vardy won't start. Yeah, I agree. I don't think he will. Let's wait and see. I sold Smith Rowe to Cornet and benched him. Was it a good move, Dylan? Yeah, I think it's a decent move, to be fair. Yeah, I think Cornet's good for the next few weeks, to be fair. Best of luck. Thanks for the stream. Thank you, Anish. Thank you, everyone else who has tuned in. And let's see. Just checking the subscriber count. We're 5 subscribers away from 8,000, so we can still hit it. Still going on for a little while longer. I'll answer any more questions. So if you haven't already and you enjoy this content, smash the like button and subscribe if you're new around here. It's massively appreciated, and it goes a long way for helping the channel and boosting up the algorithm. So thank you very much. Here we go. Jamie Santos. Timo Werner? This guy's such a try, I swear. No, I'm not a Timo Werner, mate. Let's see what else. Did Mbumo plus Tony to Jota and Locadia, wow. Fair play. I like the Jota transfer though, yeah. Do price rise percentages reset a deadline? No, they don't. They're dynamic. They always continue no matter what the game week is. So, no, they don't. Captain Alonso, here we go. Hopefully it turns out right for you. He's my vice captain right now. Let's see how he does. Accidentally put Foster in my starting 11. It doesn't matter because he's not going to play and he will come off for whoever is on your bench. So, it's no worries there. Wildcard in the last week of December. Yeah, remember that it does reset. So, you get the second wildcard. It comes into play around game week 19, 18, something like that. And if you don't use a wildcard by then, if you decide to use a wildcard by the end of December or whatever, that means you could actually use your second wildcard already, and that's not a good thing. So just bear that in mind. Panicking without Jota, I would be too, to be fair. And, when I saw that he was an injured out from game week 13 or whatever, I just decided to pull the trigger. Just like to say, you also made your UCL content as well. Thanks, man. Thank you, Crispy Whiskers. Very nice name, by the way. And appreciate your sentiment as well. Very much appreciated. And obviously, thank you to everyone else who is watching. Christensen to Alonso. Gray to Bowen. Yeah, I think that looks good. That looks fantastic. Great set of transfers. For the past 3 game weeks, I've thought about a particular set of transfers throughout the entire week till the last day and then gone a completely different set of transfers. Yeah. Exactly the same. I actually showed my transfer plans heading into Game Week 14 and 13. I talked about getting Bernardo Silva in for Rafinha, getting Gallagher in for Townsend, and what would the other move be? Yeah, Lamptey in for Livramento. It could be completely different in a few weeks' time, so let's wait and see. But yeah, that's why you have to have an open mind, but also have a good plan. This is exactly why I play the game. Yeah, I mean, if we just knew what transfers to make and it was simple, it'd be quite boring, to be fair. Question, Ronaldo or Ramsdale is a toughie. Ronaldo or Ramsdale? I think Ronaldo will come out on top if that's what you're asking. So I would start him and probably bench Ramsdale if you could, if you had another keeper with a decent fixture. Any thoughts on Jacob Ramsey? Oh yeah, that's true. I actually mentioned him back, in game week 7 or 8? I'm not exactly sure when, but yeah. I think he could be one of the better 4.5 million options, but am I, really excited about him? No. I'm not excited about any of the 4.5 million options, but he could be the standout at that price. Is there such thing as UCL Fantasy? Yes. Champions League Fantasy, UCL Fantasy, it is a thing. If you download the gaming hub by the Champions League, or is it by UEFA, then yeah, you can. And also just on the website. It is a thing, and there's over 1 million users, I believe. It's nowhere near as popular as FPL, but it's quite good. It's quite unique. Rafinha pumped for the next 2 game weeks. He's not someone I'd still bring in, though. He's someone I would hold for the next 2, but I wouldn't bring him in, and I'd sell him in game week 16. Good luck, Dylan. Hopefully I get a much better game week than last week. Yeah, hopefully. Bad game weeks are part and parcel of the game, same with good game weeks. Unless, you purposely just take hits and try jinx people. I know a few people will do that, but good luck to you, mate. We'll hit 8k by tonight. Come on, guys, support Dylan. Yeah, I think we could still hit it, after the stream is gone. Some people watch afterwards, and that's obviously very much... we've hit it. 8,000 subscribers. Thank you very much to everyone for helping me reach 8,000 subscribers. So we got 49, I believe, today, which is unbelievable. So nearly 50 subscribers hit during the stream. Thank you very much. And yeah, I think, around August, September, we started hitting 5,000, 6,000, 7,000. So quite rapid growth over the last few months. It's very much appreciated. And now, heading into December, 8,000 subscribers. Very happy with it. Thank you very much to everyone once again. And we'll try to hit 10,000 by, I'd say, the end of the season. Obviously, I think that's attainable. End of the year might be a bit of a push, but hopefully on the way to 9,000 before heading into 2022. But thank you very much to everyone. I'll try to answer any last questions and comments. Once again, massive shout out to everyone, including You Never Walk Alone Anchor, who sent in a super chat earlier, to all the channel members like Aranya, who's here, all the mods like Kobe, and to everyone who's already in the Discord and follow me on Twitter and Instagram, of course. All of that is massively appreciated. You don't have to, but you've chosen to, and thank you very much. Captain Alonso at the last minute. I feel a repeat of the Havertz fiasco coming. I hope not, and not just because I have him, but, I think anyone who captains Alonso, I can see the logic behind it, and I just hope it pays off, to be honest. But, Havertz was very disappointing, wasn't he? Welcome, Tom Brooker. Thank you very much for tuning in. Did I just butcher that word? Yeah, I probably did. Vardy and Boomer or Jota, Wilson for -4. What do you prefer? As a duo, I prefer Jota Wilson. The problem is Wilson's very short term, and I'm guessing you're taking a hit. This is for game week 15. It will only last 1 game week. So honestly, I'd get Jota and King, and long term, I think you're set, to be honest. Thank you very much. I've kind of butchered a few names today. So Kdarus, yeah. Thank you very much to you as well. Ronaldo will score so many goals and give so many points. I mean, he hasn't done that yet, but yeah, I think he will do well with these fixtures. Just he won't play every single game, or at least he won't start every single game. So bear that in mind. You're the man, Dylan. Keep it up. No, I'm not, but thank you very much. And what a name, by the way. Meaty Warrior. Jesus Christ. But yeah, thank you very much, mate. Much appreciated. Sold Aubameyang for Vardy this week on a knee-jerk. Watch Aubameyang score a brace now. Honestly, mate, even if he does, you've done yourself a favour. The only problem there is that Vardy might be benched. That's the only downside to that transfer. But Vardy's way better than Aubameyang in FPL. Who would you transfer Foden for next week? I'm not going to say the obvious name because it's too obvious, but other than him, it has to be Bernardo Silva, Gundogan, and then Bowen Gallagher. Those 4. I'd look at one of those 4 to replace him. Congrats, Dylan. Well deserved now. On to 9k subs. Thank you, Sudindra. And yeah, on to 9,000 now. And obviously, once again, thank you to everyone who decided to subscribe. Hey, do you know how many people in your league? Yeah, that's a good question, actually. I'm not sure. I literally don't know. Because I don't think it actually has a number at the top like it does in UCL Fantasy or Euro 2020 Fantasy Football where it tells you the number. So I'd have to check that, but I'm guessing it's a lot of people. It might be over 1,000. It probably is over 1,000, but yeah, it's a lot of people. More than UCL Fantasy. Expecting a green arrow after 3 consecutive reds. Yeah, I hope you do, Assad. I literally had 3 or 4 red arrows in a row, and now I've got 3 green arrows in a row. Things can change quickly. Hopefully it does for you. I could easily get a red arrow this week, so it's topsy-turvy. Let's see what happens. Good luck with you and your game week. Congrats on 8K, mate. Thank you, Kobe, and thank you for moderating the chat again. What's wrong with James? He's got a knock, and they're going to have a late test to see if he's available against Watford. Good luck, mate. Good luck to you as well, Hibbs. Thank you very much. Say maximum punt for 2 weeks. Not for me. Let's look at the fixtures. So, obviously, they're facing Norwich today, but the deadline has passed, so you're talking about the next 2 weeks in particular. Faces Burnley, Game Week 15, that's decent. But then already, look, Game Week 16, Leicester away. Not a bad fixture, to be fair, but I just don't really see the need. Then Liverpool, the fixtures long-term aren't really good for Newcastle, and the way I see it is if you haven't got them already, I just think the time has sailed, the boat has sailed. You look at Wilson, I would rather have him over Maximan, but then you look at the counter argument, he's 1 yellow card away from suspension, and that doesn't get reset until Game Week 18, I believe, or at least at the midway point of the season. So I probably wouldn't, to be honest. He's a decent punt, but I wouldn't. I'm thinking Foden to Bowen, yeah. And Gundogan, yeah. Gundogan, Bernardo Silva, Bowen, Gallagher. All 4 of them are really good options to replace Foden, to be honest. Foden could play as the bench this game week. He could, but it's not really ideal, is it? And, I think he could be managed over the coming weeks and stuff, so I probably wouldn't. Thank you, 101 Toz, and obviously thank you very much, always tuning in. What's your rank in your league then? I'm not sure, to be honest. Let me actually check, but it's not that good, I think. 130? That's pretty decent, to be fair. I'd take that. I know there's quite a lot of good managers in this league, and I'm happy with that. 130. So this is my first FPL season. I use my free hit thinking this is a double game week. So how do you think I'll get on? I'll use the free hit, yeah. Yeah, I think that's a decent free hit, though. It's a good choice, good selection. I think you'll do pretty well. But yeah, just like for future reference, whenever you kind of check these game weeks, go to the FPL website and scroll to the bottom of the page to the fixtures section. And what you see here is the game week. So then when you switch it to a few days' time at the weekend, that's a separate game week. But when there is a double game week, you will see certain teams, let's say for example Chelsea, they will have a game against Everton and then let's say a game against Aston Villa, and both of them will fall under Game Week 17. So just bear that in mind in the future. It's very important. There's no doubles at the moment, but there's going to be blank game weeks confirmed for Game Week 24 and 25 for Chelsea. Spurs could get a double game week in Game Week 21, which I think is at New Year's, coincidentally. But that depends on what happens with West Ham. And if they actually beat West Ham, they won't have a double game week until after Game Week 21. So Game Week 21 is the earliest that they could get a double, but even then it might be a bit unlikely. Of course, West Ham do have a better team, but will they beat them? Let's see. Do you think James will start? At the moment, I don't think so, but it ultimately depends on that late test. I think Aspilicueta will start. Hi Dylan, can you explain what double game weeks and blank game weeks are? Yeah, I literally was just explaining it to Jordan. So it's very... Well, let me just get a water. Literally, I sound like a dog there. But yeah, I need a little water break. Okay, so it's kind of self-explanatory. So a double game week is when a certain team, or maybe multiple teams, have a double game week. So 2 games in a particular game week. So once again, that example I gave, Chelsea facing Everton this week and then Villa, later on. If both of them were in Game Week 17, that forms a double game week for Chelsea. You sometimes have kind of minor and major double game weeks, or small or large double game weeks, and that obviously depends on if a lot of teams have a double game week or if they just only a select few do. A blank game week occurs when, for example, there is a clash with another competition. So for example, Chelsea in Game Weeks 24-25, they're going to the Club World Cup, so they're not able to play their games in Game Weeks 24-25. So let's use that as an example actually. So they play in 24, Yeah, I mean, it's already taken off, actually. But I think Game Week 25, they were supposed to play Arsenal. Yep, look, already that game is taken off. So as you can see, Chelsea don't appear in Game Weeks 24, 25. So what does that mean? That means a double Game Week will be formed later on in the season. Potentially, they could move that game earlier, but I think that won't be the case. But basically, the blank game weeks will then cause a double game week to happen. But a blank game week is when a particular team does not play because of a clash with another competition, and that also obviously affects their opponents. And it could also happen to multiple teams because of, let's say, a competition like the FA Cup, for example. That could coincide or clash with a Premier League weekend or game week, and that means that should be moved to a midweek when there's no Champions League or no Europa League. So hopefully that explained it to you. It's not maybe the best explanation, but yeah, it's pretty easy to get along. You know, once you kind of see examples of doubles and blanks, you will pretty much, be right on top of it. Let's see. Can you also explain how to gain the most points during these? Okay, so to gain the most points, theoretically, you can use your chips there. So, for example, during a major double game week, you can use your second wildcard to then build a team of 15 players who have a double game week, and then you can play your bench boost. But sometimes, I'll be honest, it is a bit overrated using that. Sometimes just using your bench boost during a single is better, but that is one way to go about it. Another one is using your triple captaincy chip. That's obviously, you can't use two chips in the same week, so maybe for a minor double game week for someone like Salah who faces Norwich, for example, that's when you can place the triple captaincy on him. The other one is using your free hit. You could maybe use that during a blank game week. So let's say, for example, in a blank game week, only teams like Burnley and whatever, let's say Wolves, they're the ones who are playing, and let's say Chelsea, City, Liverpool assets, they blank. You can use your free hit there, so you can maintain your James, your Trents, your Salahs, etc. But you can use your free hit to get in maybe someone like Chris Wood, Cornet, and all these other options, Jimenez, etc. So that's where the free hit could be useful. You could also use it in a double game week, but obviously most people tend to use it during a blank. So that's kind of some ways to get the most points, using chips, using a second wildcard to then bench boost, etc. into a double game week. November, top of your league, you could take a look. Wow, that's very impressive. I will take a look, actually. We haven't done that I don't think I've done that on this channel. So let's actually check the league. I'm not sure how many people are in it, to be honest. The game is updating. Okay, that's actually typical. And now, great. Now, literally, we just have this. The game is updating and will be available soon. Great. Why did I do that? I should have put it on open new tab, to be fair, but that's pretty much it. You saw my team. You saw everything else. If you haven't already, subscribe and smash the like button. We hit 8,000 today, so thank you very much. I'm going to be reading out your comments still and then wrapping up. We've been going on for 2 hours. We went very early. We started from around 4 o'clock, so nearly 2.5 hours. You can follow me there on Twitter and Instagram. The socials are there, Dylan_RCM. But yeah, I will check the link. I will check the league very soon. Thank you very much. I took Livramento out and went with Alonso, so now I have 3 Chelsea defenders, which is a big risk. Yeah, I wouldn't go for 3 Chelsea defenders, of course. They're the best defence, or second best in the league, but I would rather have a bit of more of a balance, have 2 Chelsea defenders and then spread it around. So maybe if you have Rudiger or, I don't know, someone else like Thiago Silva, Chalobah, you can downgrade them to Lamptey. So, Salah for De Gea, not a bad idea. De Gea's great fixtures from now on, but I would rather have Ramsdale or Sanchez. Thank you, Jordan. Hoping for something from Foden. Might go down to Bowen or Gundogan for Livramento to Alonso. Upgrade for the Leeds game. Yeah, hopefully Foden does something. I think Foden owners have been very unlucky. Even before he got injured, he should have got some returns. I remember owning him and being very frustrated. Yeah, I would do the same thing. Bowen or Gundogan in, probably. And yeah, Livramento to Alonso is a good move, to be honest. Do you listen to any other FPL YouTube videos? I'll be honest, not too much recently, but I do from time to time. So, for example, I like Planet FPL a lot. I like Black Box, FPL Wire, etc. I like Fantasy Football Hub. There's quite a few channels that I do like. So yeah, those are some of the ones. Of course, there's so many, to be fair. I used to like, I still like FPL Take the Hit, for example. They're another good channel. There's so many good channels, but yeah, I have watched before. But Not as much nowadays, especially when making my own videos. I also don't want to, be influenced or, copy other people. I want to do my own thing. Of course, there's always going to be similarities, but I try to do my own thing and be myself. Great. No, the explanation was great. Okay, fair enough. I might make a video actually, just because a lot of people do ask, from time to time in streams, and maybe just, one area, one video that we can point people towards. Can you look at your team? Well, funny thing is, mate, the game is updating, so I can't show you my team right now. If you do play back the video, you can see my team throughout the whole stream anyway, and I am wrapping up. So I'm going to try and get through these last few questions and comments. Why are people always counting on Rafinha? I don't feel as worthy every game week. Well, then again, though, he is a good player. If Leeds do something, he can be in and amongst the bonus points, and he's been very unfortunate not to get more assists. Having said that, he's been very fortunate to have scored 5 goals with his 2.73 XG, I believe it is. But he is a good player, quality player, and he is a good option, but I think there are better ones at the moment. Oof, maybe next time, but maybe I might not stay at the top anymore. What is it? Let's see what happens today. That's going to be the decider for you in terms of who's top for November. Which website do you use to look at underlying stats like XG, XGA, XGI? Well, Fantasy Football Hub. I use them, to be honest, for all those stats. That's where I get everything from. But yeah. Listening to you while on a treadmill. Fan of the week. Probably, yeah. It's a bit surreal. I've done stuff like that before, watching a video or listening to music, whilst on a treadmill. But yeah, that's crazy. But thank you very much, mate. I'm flattered. I would recommend, getting some music on. That will motivate you more. Do you play football yourself as a hobby or otherwise? If yes, what position do you play in? I used to. I still do from time to time, just, for fun. But yeah, I think goalkeeper was my best position. I was also decent up front, especially when I was very young. That was like my first position when playing with others in tournaments and stuff like that. But I think, yeah, I was best in goal, despite being a bit short. It was mainly my reflexes and stuff. Not bringing myself up, not the Barack Obama mean, placing a medal over myself. And also defender, centre back, left back, defensive midfielder. But yeah, I think goalkeeper was my best. You're too good in UCL fantasy. Nah, I'm not, honestly. And I had a pretty significant red arrow last week, but free transfers in match day 6. Let's see what happens. Yeah, FPL, I'm not that good in it, so yeah, you can definitely challenge me now. But yeah, UCL fantasy, don't really think I'm that much better than in FPL, really. There's also the fact that in UCL fantasy there's less competition, so that also plays a part. But yeah, no, I'm quite similarly leveled in both of them. I'm pretty decent, I'd say. I'm nothing special in either. I'm looking to improve in both, and there's still ways I can improve. But yeah, you can challenge me on UCL fantasy as well, to be fair. When is it going to be done updating? I think it tends to be half an hour, 45 minutes. Sometimes it's an hour, but yeah, basically from now up until 7 o'clock, it should be fine. 7 o'clock UK time, that is. Did you ever have a crazy snowy day just like City game last week? No, not in London. We were supposed to have a bit of snow on Saturday, but it didn't settle. There was no snow at all, actually. So no, not this year, not yet, but I would suspect up until February there will be a snowy day. Alonso hat-trick incoming, hopefully, mate. We can only dream, to be honest. We can only dream. Thank you very much to everyone who's tuned in. If there's any questions or comments you want answered, leave them in the comment section down below so I can answer them. Thank you, Aranya. Okay, so you're basically like Messi, can literally play everywhere. Well, I don't think Messi can play in goal, can he? No, but yeah, I can't play everywhere, to be fair. There's one thing, being on that level, to be fair. But yeah, I just like being a goal. It's just fun diving around as well. Not diving like a cheat. I'm not going to name names, but those outfield players who try to simulate and con the ref. But I like diving in goal, to be fair, and saving stuff. Foden to Sancho, one to consider, but I wouldn't do that just yet. Wait and see how these games pan out. I want to see Sancho under Ranić more than anything, rather than here we go, Ballon d'Or. But yeah, I wouldn't do that just yet. That Spurs injury cost me 30 points, rolling impact of Vardy to Kane rather than Rafinha to Jota. Yeah, I remember you said that. It's very unlucky, to be honest, but these things can happen. I had something similar last year where I went down to 8 to 9 men because Son and Kane didn't have a game against Fulham. It got postponed. These things can happen, unfortunately, especially with this weather. Thoughts on Ballon d'Or rank? I disagree with some of them. I disagree with Haaland being 11th. I think he should be top 5, if anything. Despite only winning the German Cup, I think he's, Champions League top scorer as well, just scoring at an incredible rate for club and country. So I think Haaland was a bit hard done by. Also, I agree with Messi winning it. I know a lot of people thought Lewandowski should win it. I think he deserves the 2021. I don't see why they couldn't just have, given him the retrospective award. now or even earlier. I just don't get why they couldn't do that. I think Lewandowski deserves second. As much as Jorginho won everything or won a lot of important things, I don't see how he's third. He's not the third best player in the world, and that's what I think it should be down to. I think Salah probably should have been higher than Ronaldo, even Haaland and Mbappe as well, personally. Obviously, this is my opinion. Ronaldo still had a good year, though. A bit of an underrated year by his standards, because just like Messi, he's kind of held to this, his own standards. And I think still Mbappe, Haaland and Salah should have been higher. In terms of the goalkeepers, I think the top three should have been, it's just my personal opinion, by the way, not in any order, Donnarumma, Mendy and Martinez. I think they were the three best keepers. So I think, Mendy, I'm not sure exactly where he finished, but he arguably could have won it as well. But other than that, I'm trying to think. Ruben Dias 26th is a joke, by the way. He should have been way higher. Harry Kane, you could arguably say higher, but his season was very poor. And not just, this season so far, but even the Euros. Yeah, he was the top scorer or whatever, but I don't still think he played that well. Benzema 4th. Yeah, I guess that's kind of fair. Once again, though, is he better than Haaland and all these others? I don't know. That's debatable. It's up to you. He's been very incredible this season. But yeah, there's a few things that I just totally disagree with, like Haaland 11th, Diaz 26th, Jorginho 3rd. But yeah, other than that, I think, you're never going to please everyone, to be honest. Thoughts on Aldo comments on Ballon d'Or? Oh, Ronaldo comments. I can see what he means, because the thing is, he has publicly said before that he wants to end up with the most Ballon d'Ors and more than Messi and, be above him and, beat him. He has said that, in an interview with Piers Morgan, for example. But, we all know this, we don't need someone else to tell us. I think if someone does tell you something in confidence, you shouldn't say it. And I do agree with Ronaldo that the guy who said it, I can't remember his name, it begins with an F. But the reason why he said it is to promote his own product, his own, organisation, Ballon d'Or. But, the Ballon d'Or, obviously, it does get a bit kind of overhyped, to be fair. I saw them boomer for Bowen instead of Gallagher. Hope the latter doesn't make me regret this. I think they're both great options, especially long-term. And Bowen is someone I'm looking to get in, Brian. So I think that's a decent one. Diaz clearly robbed. Yeah, exactly. I don't know how he got 26th. João Cancelo, I think if he didn't get benched so often towards the end of last season, he definitely was in for the top 20. I think next season we can expect to see the likes of Reece James, Trent, Cancelo, etc. Van Dijk, of course. So we're going to see some new names, or at least some, names we didn't see in 2021. But it will be very interesting to see. And also, will they move the Ballon d'Or voting for 2022 after the World Cup to accommodate that and the winner? Let's wait and see. Which club do you think Haaland will transfer to next? I'd like to think City, to be honest. If not PSG, I think one of those two. PSG to replace Mbappe or City, and I think City's more likely. And if City get Haaland, they could dominate the league, to be honest. Had a horrendous UCL fantasy match day last week, just 44 points, my worst ever UCL fantasy in history. I was like 40 points ahead of my peers in my mini league before match day 5. Now it's just 12 points. Yeah, a lot of the players like Aspilicueta, who were starting most weeks, benched. I was kind of expecting it. A lot of injury doubts and stuff, so there you go. Who do you think is a better player in 2021 between Kante and Jorginho? Still Kante. Whenever Kante played, he was better, but I can see why Jorginho finished above him, if I'm being honest, because of the trophies, and also he was always there. With Kante, he was injured so much. Even now, he's constantly injured, so I can see why Jorginho finished above him, but Kante is obviously the better player. And I would have put Haaland, Mbappe, etc. over those two, to be honest. But the Champions League does play a part. Mendy not in the top 30. Mendy definitely should have been top 30. Kjaer, look, he was decent for Milan, obviously very good for Denmark, but I don't think he should have been 18th, for example. Mount, did he have a better year than Bruno Fernandes? No, he didn't. Mount 19th is another thing I don't agree with. Diaz is way higher than 26th, arguably even top 10, to be honest. I agree with the Neymar one, kind of, because obviously he's so good when he plays, but he was nowhere near his best, so I can agree with that rating. Maybe he should have been lower, if anything, but of course, Neymar at his best is probably top 3, top 5 in the world, for sure. Just joining in, is Harry Kane 20s rank? He was 23rd. Bruno was 21st, so Bruno was above him. But yeah, I think Bruno was a bit hard done by, to be honest. Either way, though, he didn't really win anything, let's be honest. He didn't win anything, he had a poor Euros, let's be real. So I don't think it's the biggest farce. I just think some players like Mount being ahead of him is a bit stupid. Sorry for the long message. 2 free transfers, Foden and James flagged. Did Mbuma to Gundogan. Rolled the other. Yeah, I think that's the right call, to be honest. I would have done the same thing. Starting lineup, what do you think? Once again, anyone with Hwang, I always say this, look to maybe sell him from Gameweek 15 onwards. You have 2 free transfers, so you're in a good position there. I like your goalkeeper, even though I prefer Ramsdale. I don't think you need to change him. Defense is fine. Midfield is good as well. I'd look to maybe in Gameweek 16 move Rafinha on to Gallagher, or you've already got Gundogan, so Bowen. So yeah, Gallagher or Bowen in for Rafinha potentially in Gameweek 16, and in Gameweek 15 you could move on Hwang to King. Oh Jesus, Hwang 2. At least I put the 2 in between. But yeah, you could do that. Another one to maybe possibly replace is Livramento to Lamptey, but I don't think that's as big of a priority as the others. And if Foden continues to, be in and out of the team with injury doubts and not being fully fit, then I would potentially move Foden on. It's a tough one though. Who to? You could arguably double up with Bernardo and Gundogan. Otherwise, maybe look to Gallagher and Bowen and have both of them in your team and use the rest of your money to improve your squad. Dylan, do you have any players in your team playing today? Good question. I actually haven't even thought about it. Oh, Jesus. It's still under... Okay, I'm trying to think of my team now. I'm trying to visualize it. Christ. Yeah, I don't think so, actually. Do I? Let me double check this. Oh, Jesus Christ. Apologies. Let's check this out. Yeah. I've got Gallagher and Rafinha. So I've got 2 players today. Got no one from Newcastle Norwich. It'll be interesting to see what happens there. All of the games are Amazon Prime. So if you do have Amazon Prime, sign in and enjoy the football. That's what I'm going to be doing, to be honest. I'm not sponsored by them, by the way. What do you think about Reece James's injury? Is it serious? I don't think it's serious, but it could be enough to, for him to miss out in Game Week 14 with Aspilicueta coming in. Should I sub him off? No. Either way, you're looking ahead to Game Week 15. You can't make any changes now to Game Week 14 because the deadline has passed. What's your team for this game week? I'm not trying to sound like a twat, by the way, but try to play back my video and you'll see my team throughout the whole stream. But Ramsdale's in goal. Cancelo, Trent, Alonso, and James. James is an injured out, of course. In my midfield, I've got Rafinha, Gallagher, Salah, Jota. And up front, I've got Antonio. I'm almost forgetting my strikers. Antonio, Vardy, and yeah, that's it, isn't it? Yeah, 4-4-2 I've played. And on my bench, I've got Tony first sub, Livramento second, and Douglas Luiz third, with Foster, who's injured, on my bench. So that is my team. When the actual, FPL website, loads, then yeah. But I shouldn't have done that, to be honest. I checked the league and then I lost connection. I don't know why they do that, to be honest. But yeah. Looks like Gilmour's playing Cam. Yeah, that's the thing though. With Norman, especially when Norman's in the side, Gilmour is pushed further up. But it just seems to be a thing that's happening more often now anyway with Dean Smith. I brought Bernardo to replace Saka. What do you think? I think that's a good call. I would have done that. If not, it would have been Gundogan or Bowen or Gallagher. Hwang to Tony. Yeah, I think that's still a good move. I might prefer King though, longer term. I just sold Foden for Bowen. What's your opinion? I'm looking to do something similar with Rafinha in Game Week 16. I think that's good. I agree with the transfer. I kept mentioning Bowen as one of the best replacements, around 6 million. Do you think Alonso's threat would get somewhat diminished if James gets benched? Maybe. But either way, I still think he offers a lot of threat with James in the side or not. But it could, yeah. When did you start playing FPL? Good question. I think 18-19 season, really. That's when I started playing it. Yeah. 18-19 potentially, if not 19-20. Basically, 19-20 is when I started taking it seriously and, actually making changes to my team and playing it. Because I think in 18-19, I would forget to, make changes. I wouldn't actually, go on the team that often. And Sky Fantasy Football, I started in 2017-18. But yeah, in terms of actually playing it properly, it has to be 19-20. I'm trying to think. 19-20, 20. Yeah, probably 19-20. Yeah. I'm getting confused with the years actually, but yeah, I think it's 18-19 or 19-20. I have to double check that. But in terms of actually properly playing, it has to be 19-20. Would you suggest doing Rafinha to Jota and Hwang to 4.5 million striker to afford the Jota transfer? If you have enough depth, Kobe, then yes, I would. Wasting, you have to take a look at my team. Yeah, I will anyway with the league. Obviously, that's the reason I can't even get the team up at the moment, unfortunately. Game is reloaded. Thank you. Alright, let's see. Yeah, thank you very much for that. You're probably just bored or why you got this stupid Twitter, Instagram. We all know your Instagram and Twitter. There you go. We've got the back up. We have got it back up. This is my team. This is how it looks like for Game Week 15. Oh, maybe I shouldn't be showing you that. Let's look at the points. I'll be sorting out the Game Week 15 team shortly afterwards, maybe even on stream. But yeah, let's see. I'm subscribed to 15 plus FPL YouTubers, and you're by far my top 3. You should have more subscribers, in my opinion. Keep it up, and it'll happen soon. Thank you very much, Brian. Obviously, everyone's different. Everyone offers something unique to the table, and there's so many different, great YouTubers out there. So obviously, I'm flattered to be in the top 3. Probably should be a bit lower, but obviously thank you very much. I'm still looking at ways to improve as well, but I try to put my own style and put my own thing in it. Yeah, game is reloaded. Thank you very much, Raga, for saying that. Do you think Bowen gets rotated often? No, that was only really a tactical ploy by Moyes to counteract Manchester City. It's not going to happen often. Newcastle Norwich team sheet is out. Let's take a look. Do you play Champions League Fantasy? Yeah, mate. Check out my videos. And I'm also the only YouTuber or content creator to make Champions League Fantasy deadline streams. Yeah, my team is quite similar to most people, to be fair. The template rating is quite high. Hi, Dylan. What does RCM mean? It's just initials. Some of them are my own initials. And, well, they're all of my initials, just kind of jumbled up in a way. But, yeah, it's just something I had for my Instagram. It's just a name I had, Dylan RCM, But, yeah, it's nothing special, let's be honest. Bowen was benched for the first time since arrival. Yeah, it's only because of City, really. It's nothing major. Rafinha to Bowen, Jimenez to Vardy, Tony 2. Sorry. No worries, mate. Either way, my team's up now. And I was a bit stupid to, not open it in a new tab and, get rid of my team. But I like those moves. I'm not sure about bringing in Vardy ahead of next week, but yeah, it's still good moves ultimately. Tony 2, I'd say King. I'd do that, Sharia. So you avoided a -4 hit with James potentially missing out. The hit wouldn't have been worth it. Yeah, no, I agree. And your team looks pretty good, to be honest. Aranya, Game Week 16 onwards, Rafinha could make way. Yeah, but the rest looks pretty fine to me. Not a huge fan of Dyer, but your attack should come good. And yeah, maybe improve your squad depth. I'm not sure who else you have on your bench, but yeah, that's what I'd be looking to do in a few weeks' time. But that's my team. As we talked about before, Salah's my captain. Alonso's my vice. Let's see what happens. I've got okay squad depth. Livramento's not the greatest choice at the moment. And now let's actually show you my... Yeah, let's show you my team ahead of Game Week 15. I'll start organising it. And we'll also get the league up. And... No, that's going to be... I nearly put another league up, actually. Jesus. You'll be like, well, what kind of league are you on about? Yeah. But yeah, let's see. So let's actually check. So overall, who is top right now? I haven't checked this, by the way, so apologies. But top of this league is Steve Sedman. So big shout out to you. And, oh, he's a Spurs fan. Yeah, congratulations to you, to be fair. I mean, fair play. I mean, I'm not going to be that much of a hey, am I? Let's reload the team. So yeah, where are you in the world? 155 overall rank. That's very impressive. So, very happy to have someone in my league, that high up, even though, it's a big shame about your club. He kept Foden, look at that. And he's got Reece James. Son is his vice-captain. Salah is his captain. Hwang and Wilson up front. Still a good team overall. It's got very good squad depth. Look at his squad depth. No wonder he didn't make a transfer. He's got Smith Rowe, Tony and Livramento on his bench. So fair play. He is top overall. Let's check. So for November, if we can get this up, that would be very nice. The FPL website is acting a bit funny at the moment. I'll talk about the lineups, by the way, very soon, because I haven't done that as well. What the hell? Oh, it does this new entries thing. Yeah, so Wei Seng, you are top. You are top by 3 points. So let's see what happens. It's a very tight battle between you. Don't want to get the names wrong. Mohanad, Ben, Clive, Mohit, Richard. There's so many of you. Sophie as well. So big up to all of you. I mean, there's so many of you. I mean, you all deserve a shout out. A lot of you are kind of joint top or joint second, third, etc. Very impressive stuff. Yeah, I'm literally all the way. Wait, what? Oh, for November I'm 24th. I was literally gonna say I'm not that high up, surely. But yeah, big up to all of you. Same with people who are near the top overall. That's really impressive stuff. Ahmed once again, Akil, Ian, impressive stuff. All of you with over 900 points. I think that's a pretty good return, to be honest, so far this season. And yeah, good to see so many of you doing very well. And hopefully some of you are in the chat or at least have watched the streams and videos. But if not, doesn't matter. Very, very good stuff to see all of you doing so well. So that's kind of, yeah. Haven't actually checked the leagues, to be honest. But yeah, I mean, fantastic stuff, fantastic stuff. This is how my team is looking like heading into game week 15. Surely some changes are going to be made here. Yeah, I think Tony will come into my starting 11. I'm actually tempted to bench Antonio, maybe, or Gallagher. But then again, United are a poor team, aren't they, at the moment? Let's see how they do under Ranić. That could be his first game, it looks like. But yeah, I wouldn't be too confident about benching Tony. But yeah, the rest looks pretty fine to me. Livermore at home to Brighton isn't the worst fixture either. I'll be talking about this, obviously, later on. Who would my vice-captain be? Probably Vardy, even though I'm not really too sure about that one to be. Oh, Watford. Oh, Cancelo. Hello. Here you go. Yeah, Cancelo vice. I actually would even maybe consider captaining Cancelo, to be honest. I would let you guys know, of course, when we get to that. But Watford, I mean, that is like City's favourite time of year, to be honest. Mr. Deadline is stuck with captain on Salah. That's not the worst thing, to be honest, Pranjal. I mean, that's pretty good. That's not the worst thing. Would James play according to you? Once again, I've said this all day. Like, I can't tell you for sure. Right now, I think he won't play. But if that late test says he's fit, I think he will. I think he will play. Mark says, evening, bud. Evening to you as well, Mark. Thank you very much for tuning in. Alonso's quality from crosses was poor. Would not be surprised if he gets hooked off early again. Yeah. Also, he's just too slow. And look, his attacking threat is great. And he can still get assists from rebounds and stuff like that. But, to be honest, I still think he's a good asset. But, yeah, obviously, I would prefer Chilwell. I want Greenwood to Jota and took a -4 for Foden to Bernardo. Hopefully this pays off and James plays. I think it will pay off anyway. I think that's a good hit, to be honest. Can you do a rate my team or rate the team of top 5 teams of the league as a separate video? That's probably something to do, actually. Yeah, I will probably look to do that. Thank you very much, Wei Seng and to Sing for suggesting that. Yeah, I brought Dye in probably for the next 2 weeks only to bypass James's injury doubt. My priority is to get rid of him for someone like Alonso pretty soon and gradually improve my squad depth. Yeah, I think that's probably the right call to do. And yeah, squad depth is very important at this time of the year, to be honest. Tuchel says Hudson-Odoi will play left wing back soon if Alonso not that good. Well, he pretty much was saying, he's got other options. Also, I mean, Pulisic did play as a wing back at times under Tuchel at Dortmund, but yeah, Hudson-Odoi could be an option there. Even Aspie, potentially, but yeah. Rishal says, what transfers do you recommend? In Game Week 15 onwards, Hwang to King is something to look at. Your defense is fine. Goalkeepers are fine, I guess, yeah. I think Jimenez and Hwang, I'd get rid of them. Armstrong as well. I think your strikers is your main concern here. So, Hwang to Joshua King, Jimenez to Antonio, and Armstrong to Benteke. I think that's what I'd look to do. Should I captain Kane against Norwich in Game Week 15? I think it's worth it. I think it's worth the captaincy. Salah doesn't have the greatest fixture against Wolves, but obviously he can still do very well. He's fixture proof. He's way better than Kane at the moment. But yeah, I like Kane against Norwich, Son, Cancelo. All these City assets against Watford also look very good. With James set to sit out today, I got Reguilon in for Duffy. He's on my bench. Yeah, I think that's a decent move, to be fair. And yeah, I wouldn't be too surprised if James misses out. I can see myself getting rid of Antonio for a cheaper option next week to go more expensive midfield or defence. Fair enough. I think King could be a very good option for you. So that's pretty fair enough. I'm sure Pulisic can't play left wing back, so he's not an option. No, he's mainly for the right wing back position anyway, but I'm mainly looking at Azpilicueta or Hudson-Odoi potentially. But Alonso is still first choice. Some people think magically he's going to be benched. I don't think that's going to be the case. Who to bench for Game Week 15? Obviously, we'll talk about this in future streams and videos, but who to bench? That's tough. You're in a bit of a predicament there, aren't you, mate? I'm not sure. I mean, Sissoko definitely bench, don't think about that. But the other two to bench, that's tough. Maybe one of Cornet. I need to check who Cornet faces, actually, but I'm assuming his fixtures... Oh, no, he's facing Newcastle. Don't bench him. I mean, who do you bench? Jesus Christ. You have got a massive headache, mate. Obviously, we'll have more information as the week goes by, but yeah, nah, mate. Maybe White? Let me check. Everton. Yeah, maybe White. You try to have your... Got the chat side by side with the fixtures. Good luck. Good luck with your final decision. But yeah, Sissoko, White, and the other one to bench would be... Maybe... I mean, would you bench Wilson? Probably not. Oh, you've got Benteke as well. Yeah, bench Benteke. Yeah, Benteke, Sissoko, and White. Maybe it wasn't that difficult, to be fair. Maybe I was just being a bit stupid, to be fair. But yeah. Let's see. In the next game, I'm planning to bring some United forwards like Rashford because I think they're going to do great. For a manager like Ralph Rangnick. Yeah, once again, it's kind of a wait and see before, just going in head first. And Sancho could also be a very interesting one. Also, Cristiano Ronaldo and Bruno Fernandes. I'm not really a big fan of their defence, even if, they start firing with Rangnick. But yeah, I think I'd actually be a bit more interested with Sancho. It's time for Kane to return this week, or is it? But yeah, you probably would suspect. Burnley game was so good considering Tarkowski was out as well. Yeah, they had a few injuries. I've already got King and Vardy, says Goldhead. I'd say maybe Benteke, to be fair. Say Maximan, Tony, or maybe Watkins. I mean, once again with Say Maximan, I'd rather have Wilson, but Newcastle only have one good fixture, really, and then after that, it's pretty poor. Yeah, Watkins, I'd be a bit, more willing to go for. Thoughts on team? Says Manjon. I like your team, to be honest. I like it. I don't know how much money you have in the bank, to be honest, but what I would probably consider... I mean, yeah, you've got a lot of squad depth, which is good, but at the same time... I know, yeah, you got Sissoko bench. I would possibly consider downgrading one of your strikers and then upgrading Sissoko to... a Gundogan, a Bernardo Silva, and if you don't have enough money, you could maybe go for Bowen. That's what I'd look to do. But would you get Bowen in ahead of Chelsea? Probably not. So that's kind of more of a long-term thing. But that looks pretty good, to be fair. If you have one free transfer, I'd probably hold going into next week. Would you say transfer in Dennis or King? King, because he's got better underlying stats. He's on penalties. He doesn't have AFCON like Dennis, and Dennis is injured at the moment. Do you think Benteke plays better than Edouard? I would rather have Benteke than Edouard on FPL. Yeah. Maybe bench boost for benching headaches. Possibly, but not in that case. I think it's not worth a bench boost, personally. Yeah, fair enough, Maxim. I think in terms of the fixture, that might have been the right thing to do, getting Alonso in, but I think Jota in general is just a better option long term. Bench Gallagher for Livramento next game week? No. Oh, no, apologies. Yeah, maybe. I am thinking of maybe doing that myself, but yeah. I see Arsenal winning 2-0, Smith for a 1 goal against United. I hope you're right, but I'm not too sure. Spurs player return is a now or never. If not, they have Norwich next week. I mean, Spurs have just been poor, to be honest. Want to know your predictions on both matchups tonight? I mean, Newcastle are at home, so if it was at Norwich, I definitely would go for a Norwich win. You know what? I'll still go for Newcastle, but I'm not too sure. I'll go for 2-1, but I could see Norwich snicking something, to be honest. Leeds Palace. Oh, that's tough. I mean, I think these two games are probably the toughest to predict over the weekend. I look at Spurs, Brentford, Man United, Arsenal. I'll be a bit more confident with those. Leeds Palace, I probably would say 1-1. I'm not too sure. It could easily be the other way around, with the other game being 1-1 and this one being 2-1 to either side. Let's wait and see. Oh yeah, Palace looking good under Vieira. Benteke's a shout. Yeah, just the fixtures are good as well. You want to look at the fixtures, and since you already have King and Vardy, I probably would go there. What's your thoughts about my team? I like your team. Once again, though, Jimenez from Gameweek 15 onwards, I'd look to sell him. The rest is fine though. You could maybe downgrade Mendy to Ramsdale and then upgrade Jimenez. I don't know how much money you have in the bank, but I think Jimenez, I look to move him on maybe to King, and if you have a lot of money, you could always upgrade him, but I'm guessing you don't have enough money to go to a premium. If Rafinha keeps blanking, Zaha, Gallagher are on the cards. To be honest, even if Rafinha blanks this week, I'm keeping him for Gameweek 15 and then I'm selling him, to be honest, no matter what happens. I got to go now. It's 2:50 a.m. in Malaysia. Yeah, well, it's really, really late. And to be honest, we tend to start around this time, don't we? So it's crazy. Yeah, see you in Gameweek 15. Sadundra, thank you for tuning in. In 2 weeks, is it worth doing Rafinha to Bowen? Yep, and I'm looking to do that animations. And if not, it will be Gundogan or Bernardo. But yeah, definitely. Would you get rid of Antonio or just keep? Ahead of Gameweek 15, possibly sell. But then again, his fixtures are coming up, the good ones. Gameweek 16, 18 onwards. Possibility that James more likely... Cancelo and Vardy to be rested this week. Got all of them. Yeah, James and Vardy is quite likely. Cancelo, I think, is a bit less. They're facing a decent team in Villa. I don't think he's going to be rested yet. But there will be a benching, I think, for Cancelo soon. What is Chelsea blank about? I'm new to FPL. They play... basically, they have the Club World Cup in game weeks 24-25. They're going to blank in that week. So basically, they don't have a game. A blank means they will not play in that particular game week. And that will form a double game week in the future, because that game needs to be moved to another midweek. And that midweek will form part of a double game week for that particular team. I have some money in the bank. Who will be the best replacement for Jimenez? I'm not sure how much money you have, to be honest. But I'd probably go for King, to be honest. Because I don't think you have enough money to go to Vardy, Kane, Ronaldo, Lukaku, etc. But I would probably go to King. If not Benteke. Kunal says, any transfer suggestions? I benched James this week thinking he would get benched. Yeah, I wouldn't have benched James, to be honest, but maybe it won't backfire anyway because, yeah, he will not play and it's fine. Yeah, I think your team is... Oh, geez, I thought I saw something there. I probably would say that that's fine. You can... Yeah, if you have one free transfer, I'd probably hold yet again as things stand. I don't think you need to make another transfer right now, but yeah, I think maybe you could get Cornet or Bowen in for Smith Rowe, potentially, but I don't think you need to. The rest looks pretty good, in my opinion. Yeah, I don't think there's a need for a transfer. Sometimes you just look at a team and you don't really need a transfer, honestly. But thank you very much to everyone who's been tuning in. I'm going to be heading off now. And like I said before, follow me on Twitter and Instagram. Thank you, everyone. Excuse me, little hiccup. For 8,000 subscribers. Very much appreciated. We hit it today. We got pretty much over 50 subscribers in this stream. Very much appreciated. Good luck for Game Week 14. And then very soon, there's going to be a quick turnaround. We're going to be looking ahead to Game Week 15 in FPL and Match Day 6 of UCL Fantasy. So all the very best of luck. Enjoy the football. And I'll see you next time.